them. That they're going to keep plugging away.
The Lynx are going to need that belief here this afternoon against the number 2 team in the WNBA in the New York Liberty, and Coach Reeve knows that this matchup will bring the best out of both sides.
That's what you expect, both teams. Obviously, we have high aspirations. They do, we do. Playing each other, right? We'll bring it out of one another. And should be the intense battle that we all anticipate.
Certainly going to be a fun contest in New York here this afternoon, a rematch of last year's finals between the Lynx and the Liberty. That was today's U.S. Bank pregame preview with head coach Cheryl Reeve. Stick around, because after this break, we're going to hear from some more Lynx players as we get closer to tip-off here on the Minnesota Lynx Radio Network.
All in one. Discover a new podcast from our library of over 350,000 titles. Here's an iHeartRadio podcast preview.
On September 30th, 2008, just one day before the U.S. Senate would vote to bail out many of the largest banks in our country, one of the most daring and unusual heists in recent memory was pulled off in the small town of Monroe, Washington. The crime was audacious. It was ornate. It was also a little bit ridiculous. There were disguises, Craigslist hired decoys, a once great athlete turned criminal mastermind. And it had an escape so outlandish that it's still, to this day, hard to believe. This season, we will dive deeply into the DB Tuber heist that rocked this suburb of Seattle. We will talk with eyewitnesses, the lead detective, and the criminal himself to understand how and why this crime occurred. And with new reporting, we will dig into the parts of this case that remain unsolved and people that remain unpunished. My name is Nate Scott. I'm a reporter and editor at For the Win and USA Today Sports. This is The Sneak.
Listen and follow this podcast for free on the iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts all in one.
Gritty. We just get it done no matter what's happening, no matter what's thrown our way, or no matter if we throw it away, And I think we have a lot of experience with that last year too. Like I've always said this, I don't think we've had many blowouts last year in terms of large leads when we won. So we know what it takes to win games, even if it's down to the wire. And I think we stay pretty cool, calm, and collected in those moments.
Alana Smith speaking there about this team's ability to lean on past experience to give them confidence and composure in tight contests, like in Friday night's 4-point win over the Washington Mystics without Napheesa Collier. And Natisha Heidemann says that with Fee out, it takes that previous experience along with the trust this team has in one another to come out with those wins.
I think that's just having each other's back, being good teammates. Like, we just care about each other so much on and off the court. So especially like with Fee out right now, it's our jobs to step up and have her back. And then, obviously K-Mac went down for a second, but just having each other's back and knowing that, trusting the next person up, I think that's super important for us. So that's just what a team is.
Everyone's going to have to step up here this afternoon in a marquee matchup between the number 1 and number 2 teams in the WNBA. It's the Minnesota Lynx and New York Liberty facing off at the Barclays Center in New York. Sloan Martin on the call for lineups and tip right after this break. You're listening to Minnesota Lynx basketball.
Build your own customizable Lynx experience with the Pick 3 plan.
3:40 to go before halftime. Napheesa Collier feeling it from 3.
Pick any 3 games and unlock the chance to buy tickets to the August 24th matchup against the Fever, as well as access to the playoff ticket pre-sale.
There has been no answer for Napheesa Collier in the first half. 24 points.
Head to lynxbasketball.com/pick3 to customize your plan now.
This is Napheesa Collier.
Hey, it's Courtney Williams.
This is Bridget Carlson.
Hi, it's Alana Smith.
And it's time
for Minnesota Lynx basketball.
It's time to roar. Minnesota Lynx basketball is brought to you by U.S. Bank, an official partner of the Minnesota Lynx, equal housing lender, member FDIC, and by Mayo Clinic. You know where to go. Let's head live to the arena with the call of tonight's game. Here's Sloan Martin.
It felt like a finals atmosphere at Target Center in the first meeting of the season between the top two teams in the WNBA. Today, in the first of 3 consecutive matchups, the Minnesota Lynx will battle the New York Liberty. Welcome inside Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. Sloan Martin along with you. Thanks for joining me today. The Lynx enter today with a 5.5 game lead over this Liberty team in that top spot. New York is closer to the 8th seed than the Lynx in the top spot, but the Lynx over this coming week with these matchups against the Liberty have a chance to deliver a debilitating blow to this New York team as Minnesota chases the number 1 seed. Head coach Cheryl Reeve talking to media before today's game.
I still think we have some things to do, for sure. I think we're probably about as good of a space as we can be in as far as self-identification, self-correction, coaches understanding how to fend off maybe some things that are happening. So I think we have great self-awareness. And I think that's really helpful. Playoff runs are hard. You know, are we capable? Sure. You know, but we're still kind of plowing through the regular season. I like where we're at, for sure. Can we play well when it counts? That's obviously what's left to be determined.
The first meeting between these two teams back at Target Center was a 100-93 win for the Minnesota Lynx. Nafisa Collier, who's not playing in today's game, continuing to rehab from that ankle sprain, her 3rd consecutive missed game. 30 points, 9 rebounds. Kayla McBride with 24 points as Minnesota led at one point by 15 in that contest. So look at today's starting lineup, starting with the New York Liberty, who started 9-0 this season. They're just 11-10 since, but have since added Emma Mieseman, coming off a 14-point, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steal game in their win against Dallas on Friday. She is joined by Sabrina Ionescu, who had 31 points against this Lynx team in July in that July loss. Jonquel Jones, Natasha Cloud, who leads the WNBA in assist to turnover ratio. Second is Bridget Carlton of the Lynx, and then Leonie Fibish, who in home games is shooting 51% from 3 in this building. And for the Minnesota Lynx, Kayla McBride, Courtney Williams hit a huge shot, that go-ahead baseline 2. She says, I'm going to go out there and shoot with conviction, knocking it down. With the Lynx were able to defeat the Washington Mystics at Target Center on Friday. Alana Smith coming off one of the best games of her career, her 4th 20-point effort of her entire career, 25 points, but 10 of 15 shooting, knocked down 4 threes, led the team with 6 deflections as well. Jessica Shepard in the spot of Nafisa Collier and Bridget Carlton wrap up this starting unit. The Minnesota Lynx wearing white uniforms today. The New York Liberty in black. Emma Mieseman did not play the last 2 times these teams met. Last played in the WNBA in 2022. But she has been in double figures all 3 games with the Liberty. Certainly adds a much different component as we are about set to get underway here at Barclays Center. A rematch of the 2024 WNBA Finals. It'll be Jonquel Jones and Alana Smith to jump things up here at Barclays Center. Smith and Jones, and it's going to be won by the New York Liberty, Natasha Cloud, orchestrating the show offensively for the Liberty. Signed in the offseason, her first year here in New York. Emma Mieseman working around the perimeter, hands it up to Sabrina Ionescu. One dribble and the pull-up long-range 2 is good. She's been shooting far less frequently from beyond the arc than we are used to seeing from her in her career, and even this season as well. She makes it 2-0 New York Liberty. The Minnesota Lynx with the basketball now. McBride lets it fly from 3. She drains it. First look, and she knocks it down. It is a 3-2 lead for the Minnesota Lynx here early in the first quarter. Ionescu working around a Jonquel Jones screen. Looking back door, is going to turn it over. Was trying to hit Natasha Cloud, what could have been an easy 2, but that just trickles away from her. So turnover number 1 for the New York Liberty. It is 3-2. Minnesota Lynx, second possession of the game. Minnesota 26-5 this season. 4 losses coming on the road. Here's Courtney Williams working from the wing, uses a screen from Alana Smith, gets the switch. Then they switch right back. It's going to be Williams for 2 from just inside the 3-point arc. That's no good. Alana Smith battling for that rebound. It goes out of bounds and will be Liberty basketball, and they're quickly getting it into play. Tasha Cloud over to Emma Mieseman, who is one of the highest IQs that you will see in the game of basketball. Leaves it for Sabrina Ionescu, gets herself open for three, can't knock it down. Long rebound to Mieseman, and out to Jonquel Jones. Jones will hand it off to Cloud. They go underneath that screen, feeding Jones inside from Cloud. It's knocked away, but a foul is going to go against the Lynx. Jonquel Jones trying to maneuver there in a lot of congestion, and it looked like Minnesota was able to at least try and deter her from going right up with the basketball. It looked at first like it could have been a clean strip, but it's going to be free throws here for Jones. That foul is going to go on Courtney Williams. Take a look at tonight's injury report brought to you by Mayo Clinic, your source for medical answers. Nafisa Collier not with the team right now as she continues to rehab from that ankle sprain that happened at the end of the third quarter at Las Vegas a couple games ago. This team 4-1 without her. For the New York Liberty, there without Niara Sabally, Kennedy Burke, who's one of the top players off the bench of the W this season, and of course Brianna Stewart, the two-time MVP, out until probably later this month with a knee injury. This is their 8th game without her. 1 for 2 on the free throws is Jones. They were tied up at 3 as Carlton has it stripped at the free throw line. Ionescu is chasing from behind, able to get her hand in, and she'll accelerate up the floor. Mieseman handing off to Cloud, or then passes it over to her, faked that handoff. Now 14 seconds to shoot. Cloud takes a look inside. Lots of movement along the perimeter. Not a lot of penetration here for the Liberty so far. And now Jones has a post up against Bridget Carlton. Carlton trying to stand her ground. She's going to lead to a 3 for Leonie Fibish. And that describes the threat of the New York Liberty. The size that they have, especially with Jones, Mieseman, and Fibish on the floor at the same time, drawing in that defense. And Fibish in this building, as I mentioned, 51% from beyond the arc. Meanwhile, on the other side, Jessica Shepard, a powerful post move, a couple power dribbles into the middle of the paint, a drop step and an easy 2 for Jess Shepard. It is 6-5. Minnesota trails here early. 7-point contest. The first time these two teams met as Emma Mieseman is going to take Smith off the dribble, just keeping her on her hip and attacking to the rim. It is 8-5. New York Liberty with 7:20 to play in the first quarter. Smith will hand it off to McBride. McBride wants another one. She's got another one. McBride 2 for 2 from long range to start this game, and when she is stroking it well, it means good things for the Minnesota Lynx. The last 4 games, she's averaging 18 points per game, 52% from deep. Jonquel Jones, backdoor pass from the elbow, also goes awry, just through the hands of Sabrina Ionescu. So that's at least 2 times where the Liberty were trying to take an aggressive defense by the Minnesota Lynx along the wing, try and score inside, but that pass just trickling away. Tied up at 8 under 7 minutes to play before the second quarter. Minnesota back with the basketball. Still starters on the floor as McBride utilizes a high screen. Skip pass over to Smith. Smith takes a bump from Jones. Leaves it for Courtney Williams for 3. No good that time, but Shepard keeps it alive. 7th in the WNBA offensive rebounds per game. Won't get the assist as Smith can't knock down the 3. And it is Liberty basketball tied up at 8, 6:30 on the clock here in the first quarter at Barclays. Sabrina Ionescu trying to get downhill. Full head of steam, stopped by McBride. Looking for a reverse now. She's just bullying McBride. Gets herself to the cup. McBride makes it tough, stands her ground. Jessica Shepard leaking out ahead, and she finishes on the fast break. 10-8, Minnesota with a 2-point lead here, approaching the 5-minute mark of this first quarter. Great pace to this game so far between the top 2 offenses in the WNBA. On the other side, a deep post-up for Emma Mieseman. She is not going to finish at that close a range. A miscue by Minnesota's defense because she was able to bury her defender underneath the rim as McBride pulls up, was looking for a whistle. She's saying, I was hit on my thigh. Of course, that shot didn't touch anything. A quick release by McBride. That was her first miss. And she's trying to state her case as she goes back down on defense. It is tied up at 10, 5:48 on the clock in the first quarter as Cloud speeds past Williams and uses her strength to shield off Williams, the defender, and she'll score right at the rim. The New York Liberty take a 2-point lead, 12-10. They're shooting 5 of 7 to begin this game, and Minnesota's going to have a backcourt violation. It went through the hands of Jessica Shepard, and will be New York Liberty basketball up by 2, 12-10. For Minnesota, their second turnover. New York also with 2 turnovers. These teams top 2 in just about every category you can think of, including points per game, assists, defensive rating, 3-point percentage, total threes, and looks like the Liberty are going to turn it back over. It's an inbound violation. I didn't quite catch what happened. Did Ionescu just step over the line? She looks just as confused as maybe I'm sounding, but it's going to be a Liberty turnover. 12-10 is their lead right now as Courtney Williams will orchestrate this offense guarded by Cloud. Uses a high screen from Shepard. Is going to shoot over Miesemann and knock it down for two. First bucket today for Williams. The scoring had come from McBride and Shepard to begin this one. All 10 points. We're tied up at 12. 5:15 on the clock in the first quarter. Thiebish using that screen from Jones. They will give a look inside. Miesemann facing multiple defenders through that screen. Ionescu, a good look at a three. She's off target. And Ionescu this month from long range shooting just 24% in this month. Here's Bridget Carlton splashing it home from three. Minnesota 3 of 6 from distance to start this game, and they lead 15-12. As we go back and forth in this contest, a rematch of the 2024 WNBA Finals. 4:41 on the clock as Miesemann gets it over to Cloud. Cloud shouting directions, guarded very tightly by Courtney Williams. Miesemann working from along the perimeter, backs down against Alana Smith, takes a bump, throws it up, no good. Offensive rebound is stripped by Courtney Williams. She snatches it away and propels herself the other direction, hitting Alana Smith, the trailer. She stopped at the rim. Looked like there would have been contact there. And Alana Smith is holding her left leg and walking gingerly, getting back. It's going to lead to an easy lay-in on the other side for Jonquel Jones. Minnesota still leads by 1, 15-14. And the pass thrown to Alana Smith. She couldn't track it down along the baseline. A timeout is called with 4:07 to play in the first quarter. 15-14 is Minnesota's lead. A really fast-paced, fun game so far here at Barclays Center. So stick with us here on the Minnesota Lynx Radio Network.
And we are joined now with Dr. Derek Ebner, gastroenterologist at Mayo Clinic Comprehensive Cancer Center. And here's this number, 152,810. That's how many people are estimated to be diagnosed with colorectal cancer in 2024, according to the American Cancer Society.
Yes, historically, each year that number decreases by around 1% for older adults, while individuals younger than 50 years old, commonly referred to as early onset, is rising by about 1 to 2% each year.
Wow, increasing, you said. Really? Why do you believe that is?
There are many risk factors that can lead to this increase. Some of these factors are beyond your control, such as genetics. Other risk factors are modifiable and can come from the environment. Research is still being done to identify exactly what those are, but there is some suggestion that decreased physical activity, alcohol consumption, and eating ultra-processed foods may be contributing. Unfortunately, early onset colorectal cancer has shown an increase in mortality over the past decade and differs from colorectal cancer found in older populations. The most important thing that individuals under 50 can do to help take control of their health is to educate themselves on early onset disease by learning about colorectal cancer screening, incorporating a healthy lifestyle, and seeing their primary care provider regularly.
Well, we thank you, Dr. Ebner, so much for your time and for highlighting the importance of being proactive with our health. For more information on Dr. Ebner and the incredible work that is being done at Mayo Clinic Comprehensive Cancer Center, visit mayoclinic.org/possible.
New York played great. I thought that maybe the time they spent together post Dallas game showed itself in our game, and they were a handful. Luckily, we were able to score a little more than them. If the game went a little bit longer, that might not have been the case. A 31-point fourth quarter, not ideal. But we found a way to win, and it's a good win because winning in this league is not easy to do. So every win, regardless of who plays, who doesn't play, that sort of thing, winning any game is hard. So it's a good win for us.
As head coach Cheryl Reeve, after the first win against this New York Liberty team of this season back on July 30th. It took that long to have a WNBA Finals rematch, 100-93. The Liberty were able to close the gap in the closing minutes. Sabrina Ionescu had 31 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists as well. Nafisa Collier and Kayla McBride combining for 54 points. So we've got a really close one so far, an exciting back and forth. 4:07 to play in the first quarter. Minnesota leading the New York Liberty 15-14. Second matchup of this season. And for the Lynx, the first of 3 consecutive games against this Lynx team alone. Against this Liberty team alone at this point in the season. These two teams 1-2 in the standings. 5.5 games up on the Liberty. So an absolutely critical stretch to maintain that lead, keep this Liberty squad at arm's reach as they try and secure a top overall seed. Minnesota shooting 6 for 11 from the floor, 3 of 6 from long range, but the Liberty 6 of 10 shooting. So both these teams absolutely scorching to start this contest. These two teams also 1 and 2 in defensive ratings, so expecting maybe those numbers come back down. It's going to be Liberty basketball out of the timeout. 15-14 is Minnesota's lead under 4 minutes to play as Maureen Johannes has checked into the game for the first time. Still same starters on the floor for the Minnesota Lynx. Johannes in the air, lets it fly, and she's going to be fouled on that jump shot. She is very tricky and slippery to guard. If you watch her, she very often shoots off of one leg, off balance, fading. That's just natural to her for the Olympic silver medalist with the French national team. So that was an example where it doesn't look like it's a good shot, but because of the way you have to defend her, because high degree of difficulty shots are just normal, the foul there going on Bridget Carlton. So the first free throw is good for Johannes. The second one is going to rim out. This Liberty team leads the WNBA in free throw attempts per game, but they also are number 1 in the WNBA in free throw percentage. Minnesota back with the basketball as Shepard will hand it off to McBride. McBride a couple early threes, but she is going to be mobbed in the middle of the paint. Comes down hard. She's fouled. And it still will be Minnesota basketball. Sabrina is literally skipping over to the bench, trying to make her case to review this play. They're trying to make the argument that Maureen Johannes did cleanly get her hands in there to poke it free. And it looks like this play is going to be under review. Well, this first review, it's worth noting, I said on the previous broadcast where the Minnesota Lynx in their win over the Washington Mystics were successful on 2 late challenges, something we have seen time and time again this season. And a shout out to Lynx statistician Maddie Schiller for giving me the data that Minnesota is actually second in the WNBA with a 78% success rate on their challenges. So they're one of the teams bringing challenges most frequently. The Las Vegas Aces actually are number 1 at 85% in their success rate. So my feelings were right on that Minnesota does a great job when it comes to choosing their challenges at the right time, in the right moments. And a credit to Maddie Schiller and Celia Marfone, the director of video for this team, and their efforts in coordinating how that goes. This challenge, though, brought by the New York Liberty. This last foul goes on Natasha Cloud as Kayla McBride put the ball on the floor, was attacking the rim.
The Liberty challenge is
And it looks like after the challenge, it's unsuccessful. So this is very interesting that the New York Liberty have brought out their challenge with 3:37 to go in the first quarter. And the analytics will tell you that you can use that challenge different times in the game. It doesn't have to be, the final minute of the game. It really depends on what this possession means, how it could swing things, and different circumstances. That is all being evaluated on a moment's notice by the coaching staffs of these WNBA teams. But now, Sandy Brondello is not going to have a challenge for the rest of the game. 3:37 on the clock. Dejanay Carrington has just entered the game for the first time. Double figures in her first 2 games in a Lynx uniform as Smith just gets it away to Shepard. Little disjointed on this possession. Shepard will slip the pick, attack inside, and finish at the cup for 2. Minnesota now leading at 17-15, 3:20 to go in the first quarter. Slicing across the paint, Natasha Cloud in a blur will finish laying it up and in for 2. A great pass that was by Sabrina Ionescu and Minnesota's transition defense. Carrington working from the perimeter, being guarded by Cloud and directing traffic using a screen from Smith. She's going to pull up along the baseline, just rims out, but a good-looking shot for Dejanay Carrington, who had 13 points against Seattle, 12 points most recently against the Washington Mystics on 4 for 7 shooting, a couple steals in each of them. Cloud going back to work, using a high screen for Fibish. They will switch on that screen. Here's Johannes off one leg, and she drains it through for 3. A great example of how she is fading. She is off balance, but that is her shot. It is a 20-17 lead for the New York Liberty as we have swapped back and forth at a high rate here Carrington, backdoor wide open, finishes off the feed from Jessica Shepard, who whipped a pass her way. The vision of Jessica Shepard, extraordinary game after game as Ionescu drives to the rim, can't finish with the left hand. Speeding Williams, the mid-range is no good. Carrington pokes it back out to Williams. She wants it right back, and she puts it down.
Courtney Williams.
That is the confidence of Courtney Williams. You heard it in the pregame show. I'm shooting with conviction out there, and that's what she just did. Give me that one right back. Another easy look inside for Natasha Cloud, who just started her way to the rim, looking back door, able to lay it up and in. 22-21 is the Liberty lead. 1:44 to play in the first quarter. Williams working from the wing in a pick and roll with Shepard, but she's going to float it up and in. Beautiful touch by Courtney Williams, penetrating into the paint. She can do that too. 23-22 is the Lynx lead. Cloud delivers it in the corner. Phoebish, left alone, puts up a three. That's no good. Looked like the defense had maybe been drawn away from her, and she can't knock it down in rebuttal. Here's Courtney Williams, well contested by Jonquel Jones, and she sticks it. Courtney Williams feeling it right now for the Minnesota Lynx, leading with 8 points. That leads all scorers, and Minnesota's up by 25-22. Final minute of this game. They'll swing it around the perimeter. Jones now against Alana Smith, trying to bustle her way to the rim, and she is successful doing that. Jonquel Jones, even when it looks like she doesn't have a ton of speed, she is barreling down on you. 45 seconds to go. Minnesota leads by 25-24. Williams picks up her dribble. Carrington gets into the paint, slices her way through, can't finish at the rim. Jessica Shepard is blocked, but a foul. Phoebish was providing that interior defense. Great effort by Jessica Shepard, going right back up with it. Shepard starting in place of Defisa Collier. Her fifth, make that sixth start of the season. Also started for Alana Smith to start this year when she wasn't quite healthy coming out of camp. But as a starter, averaging a double-double, 10 points and 10 rebounds per game as she steps to the free throw line. And no good on the first. She's shooting just 59% from the free throw line this season. Natisha Heidemann checks in for the first time, as does Maria Kliundakova. So on the floor for Minnesota is Carrington, Shepard, Kliundakova, McBride, and Heidemann. So two starters on the floor for Minnesota, as Shepard is going to go 0 for 2 from the free throw line. It is 25-24, Minnesota with the narrow lead. 30 seconds to play in this first quarter. Cloud sizing up Heidemann, looking at that off-ball action. Isabel Harrison, who had 15 points, 7 for 10 shooting last time against the Minnesota Lynx, new into the game as well. Miesemann has Heidemann on her, and she's trying to post her up right now. Shepard comes over with the help defense. Talbot just has to throw it up at the buzzer, hits rim, almost gets the roll. Long rebound chase for by Miesemann and Heidemann. And it looks like it's going to stay New York basketball. See a lot of effort plays on both sides. That carries over the first matchup between these two teams. Just a 7-point contest. The atmosphere in Target Center was absolutely electric, and a great crowd here at Barclays Center as well. 5.6 seconds to go. Johannes takes the inbound, throws up a three. That's no good. McBride pokes it out. Heidemann tries to chase it down. It goes out of bounds, but it looks like that will meet the buzzer simultaneously. So we head to the second quarter. Minnesota leading by 1, 25-24. High-level, great basketball being played here in Brooklyn. And more coming your way next on the Minnesota Lynx Radio Network.
The free iHeartRadio app is #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one. Discover a new podcast from our library of over 350,000 titles. Here's an iHeartRadio podcast preview.
In March of 2005, financier Jeffrey Epstein is at a charity benefit in New York City. Wall Street titans are in attendance. Rod Stewart is booked to perform. In a photo taken that night, Epstein has his arm around a woman, pulling her head toward his so that his smirking lips graze her temple. Epstein is tan and relaxed, and he looks like he doesn't have a care in the world. On that same day, 1,200 miles south, a 14-year-old girl in Palm Beach, Florida, gives a statement to the police that will launch an investigation. But maybe Epstein is right. not to be worried.
Nobody cared what these women had to say. Their insights were ignored as the feds and then the state made this case go away.
Mr. Epstein should have been looking at a potential sentence of 360 years at a minimum. But that's not what happened, because there was a power dynamic here, wasn't there?
The recent charges against Jeffrey Epstein have brought down a cabinet member and tarnished the reputations of billionaires and elite universities.
Here is a group of people, and I got to say mostly men, who talk a great deal about changing the world, but are fundamentally functioning as a cartel.
A very simple question. Who is Jeffrey Epstein?
Who is Jeffrey Epstein? Who is in his inner circle?
The mystery of Jeffrey Epstein's wealth has never been clarified.
He started out as a Dalton teacher, right? A teacher at the private school in Manhattan.
From Wondery, the company behind Dirty John and The Shrink Next Door, comes the mysterious Mr. Epstein.
Listen and follow this podcast for free on the iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts all in one.
It's what's needed from your point guard. And when you don't get it, how disruptive it is to the rest of the group, it makes everyone else out of sorts. And all of a sudden, you got to try to do things maybe to help her. Maybe she's supposed to be getting something done, but we can't run those things. That is completely disruptive. And again, we wouldn't win the game if that would show itself in that way. And so I thought it was important that she handled that. And she's never a person that's going to get down because she's not making shots. Yes, of course she feels it, but she's never going to get down about it. There's times I wish she'd maybe turn down a shot or two, and maybe get it a little bit later in the shot clock. And we had that conversation pretty quickly. I don't want you to, all of a sudden think you can't shoot, but maybe sometimes until you get something a little easier and you get going again. I thought Courtney's management of the game is what allowed us to have success, despite her, that takes mental toughness. And she knows that's what the team needs from her.
That's head coach Cheryl Reeve talking about the last and first matchup between the Minnesota Lynx and New York Liberty this season, where Courtney Williams had a near double-double, a rebound assist double-double, tied her career high with 13 assists, had 9 rebounds in that win, scored just 6 points, shot 1 of 13 from the floor, but her ability to impact the game in multiple different ways was a huge highlight of that 100-93 victory. I still think about this one play where she climbed a ladder to tap a ball out because she couldn't get that rebound, flying amongst the post players. Next pass led to a 3 late in the game. It was absolutely great. And Courtney Williams leading the way right now with 8 points. Minnesota back with the basketball. Williams not on the floor to start this second quarter. 25-24 is Minnesota's lead. Here's Carlton taking a 3, and she is no good. Thought there might have been a whistle there. She was forced to fade away. Johannes brings it into the front court. On the floor for the Minnesota Lynx is Carlton, Shepard, Heidemann, Carrington, and Kliundakova. 30 seconds into the second quarter. Harrison will hand it off to Johannes, who somehow is able to get free, working through that screen. Offensive rebound off the missed 3 to Izzy Harrison. Here's Miesemann, thought about a 3. Not commonly what she does. She's 1 for 2 this season. Here's Natasha Cloud launching from long range, and that is no good. This is a team in the Liberty that leads the WNBA in 3-point makes. The Liberty just 2 for 8 from long range in this game. Carrington and Kliundakova hooking up on the pick and roll, but it's going to be picked off by Maureen Johannes. Off the turnover from Carrington, she goes into the front court. 8:51 to play before halftime. Cloud feeds it inside to Harrington, trying to back down Carrington. Harrison trying to back down Carrington, excuse me. Here's Harrison. The turnaround jump shot is good in the middle of the paint. I mentioned her stat line against Minnesota last time out, 15.7 for 10 shooting. Someone who just emerged as an important player off the bench for this team, and they're down 2 role players in Sabali and Kennedy Burke. 26-25 is the Liberty lead. Shepard working for the free throw line, plows her way to the rim and puts it up and in, but no, they're going to say it's a traveling violation. She quite literally had her head down, driving into the paint, met a brick wall that stopped her progress, and that might have been where she shuffled her feet. So Shepherd is going to check out of this game. Minnesota within one, 26-25. Zelana Smith comes back into the game guarding Emma Miesemann, but Miesemann gets free for a long two. That is no good. Miesemann in this game so far, 4 points on 2 of 4 shooting to begin here at Barclays Center. Heidemann weaving her way into the paint, drops it down into Smith. 8 minutes to play in the second quarter. Heidemann, plenty of time for a three, can't knock it down off back iron. And the rebound to Steph Talbot. A 1-point lead for the Liberty, 26-25, as Talbot brings it over half court. Here's Cloud launching a three. That's good. 3 of 9 shooting from long range is the New York Liberty. These two teams top 2 in three-point field goal percentage this season. A 29-25 lead for the New York Liberty. These teams have not been separated by more than 4 points on either side. Klimovnikova gives a look inside for Smith. Now sets a screen for Carrington. Carrington takes off, and she is fouled. That's something that Carrington can do so well, is utilize her speed, not just in the full court, but in the half court as well, as she tried to turn the corner right there. Going to step aside here for a moment and allow our stations to identify themselves.
Liberty foul charge number 21, Isabel Harrison, does her first, team's first.
All season long, the Minnesota Timberwolves channel on the iHeartRadio app.
2 free throws for Dejanay Carrington today in 6 minutes of play. Now 3 points, 1 of 3 shooting, a couple rebounds in her third game in a Lynx uniform. Lynx basketball is brought to you by U.S. Bank. U.S. Bank is proud to be the official bank of the Minnesota Lynx. Carrington's second free throw, no good. Minnesota 2 for 4 from the free throw line, same as the New York Liberty. 7 minutes to play in this second quarter. Cloud will drive, leave it off from Miesemann. Miesemann now attacks, is met by Klimovnikova, who gets a clean block. Klimovnikova continues to be so composed for the Minnesota Lynx, especially defensively using her size. Here is Heidemann attacking the paint. No good at the rim. She claps her hands. Wish she had that one back. Minnesota trails by 3, 29-26 here in the second quarter. Harrison sets a screen for Cloud. Rolls, gets the feed from Cloud. And it's going to be a blocking foul. A 3-point play coming up here for Isabel Harrison. 6:47 to go in the second quarter. And 1 free throw coming up here, but I wanted to revisit Klimovnikova real quick, as she just picked up that block in her first couple minutes on the floor. Her guest here today is one of the great Lynx players, Svetlana Abrosimova, who is from Russia as well. And she said we go way back, playing for the national team, not together, but both part of the same organization. She says she's just continued to support me and be enthusiastic in my WNBA career. So Abrosimova here, checking out her former team, who she played with for 9 seasons, the Minnesota Lynx, right here at Barclays. Klimovnikova, pass intended for her inside. It looked like it may have grazed the bottom of the iron. It goes out of bounds, so a Minnesota Lynx turnover. That is their 6th. That has led to 6 points for the New York Liberty. Cloud will bring the ball up the floor. Liberty leading 32-26, their largest lead of the game. These two teams have not been separated by more than 2 possessions so far, pending this particular one. Harrison trying to set a screen on Carrington. Maureen Johannes almost got free for 3. Here is Cloud putting up a long-range shot. That is no good. Battling for the rebound, and it's going to be Minnesota Lynx basketball. It was Harrison and Carrington who were trying to get that loose ball. Kayla McBride checking back into the game. Courtney Williams as well. So on the floor for Minnesota at this moment is Smith, Williams, Klimovnikova, McBride, and Carlton. We saw a lot of small ball for this team of the Minnesota Lynx. It was already undersized against the Washington Mystics. So I wonder if we'll see Klimovnikova get more minutes here. Going between the legs, the mid-range no good for McBride, who started this game 2 of 2 shooting from long range. She's missed her last 2, still with 6 points. Minnesota with 3 players between 8 and 6 points. As a timeout is called on the floor, 5:57 to play in the second quarter. A tight battle here in Brooklyn in this rematch of the 2024 WNBA Finals. You're listening to Minnesota Lynx basketball.
Looking to shoot your shot and score big, all while giving back to your community? Pilot Games is bringing entertainment with exciting electronic pull tabs to bars and restaurants across Minnesota. Every play is a shot at a jackpot and an assist to a local charity. It's entertainment with a purpose. So next time you're out, look for Pilot Games. Big wins, local impact, nothing but net. Learn more at pilotgames.com.
This is Courtney Williams.
Courtney Williams, she will launch a three. It is good. And Williams fired up about that one.
Roar with us this season and help make our house the best home court advantage in the league.
No slowing down the Minnesota Lynx here in the fourth.
The Lynx host the New York Liberty for another finals rematch on Saturday, August 16th, while also celebrating Prowell's birthday. Expect all kinds of kid-friendly fun, plus the first 6,000 fans score a Prowell plush hat. Get your tickets now at lynxbasketball.com/tickets.
Alex Leibold here with you in the WNBA Tonight studios from the Target Center for a scoreboard update. It is a busy Sunday across the WNBA. 5 games total, 4 other ones alongside the Lynx and the Liberty. They are all taking place later on today. The Washington Mystics are in Dallas, having lost 5 of their last 6. They play against the Wings, who have also lost 4 straight and 6 of their last 7. It's the final matchup of the season between these two teams, and Paige Beckers is back for the Wings. She was dealing with a back injury that had her out for the last 2 games. At 5 p.m. today, there's a powerhouse matchup between the 19-11 Atlanta Dream and the 19-11 Phoenix Mercury. The 3 and 4 teams in the WNBA facing off here. The Dream have won 4 straight, 6 of 7 into today's contest. Mercury have momentum on their side, too. They've won 3 straight. That should be a fun contest, but Brittany Griner and Ryan Howard are both out in this contest. The Seattle Storm are in Los Angeles against a red-hot Sparks team who have won 8 of their last 10. Now they just sit 1 game behind the Valkyries for the final playoff spot. They are riding good form as the Storm have lost 5 of their last 6, and the Las Vegas Aces host the Connecticut Sun at 8 p.m. tonight. A busy day in the W. Let's get back to New York with Sloan Martin.
Thanks, Alex. 5:57 to go in the second quarter, and we're approaching mid-August at this point. That's what makes a lot of these matchups all the more interesting, especially this one between the Minnesota Lynx and the New York Liberty, the top 2 teams in the WNBA. In fact, they're number 1 or 2 in almost every category there is, if not top 3 in all the really important statistical categories: points per game, defensive rating, assists, total threes, 3-point percentage, and maybe most importantly, 20-point wins. Though the Minnesota Lynx do lead the WNBA in point differential. They're the only team with a double-digit positive point differential in this league. Coming out of the timeout is a 32-26 advantage for the New York Liberty. The Minnesota Lynx shooting 48%, 3 of 8 from long range. The Liberty at 50% shooting. This is their largest lead of the game at 6. Minnesota's largest lead has been 3 points. Ionescu gets it over half court, met by McBride, gets the handoff back from Phoebish. Multiple defenders around her. Harrison is wanting it inside. Phoebish maneuvering around the perimeter. Now 8 seconds to go in this possession. Miesemann working from beyond 3-point range, trying to back down against Alana Smith, taking her into the paint. It's left short. Alana Smith comes up with the stop, and it will be a shot clock violation. That was excellent defense by Alana Smith. When you're also facing someone, of course, everyone's familiar with Emma Miesemann, but she has not played in the WNBA since 2022. Of course, both of them play for their respective national teams, but you have Miesemann playing really high-level basketball right now, the 2019 WNBA Finals MVP. And Land is going to finish on the other side, just darting her way, slicing through the defense, finishes at the rim. It is 32-28. Lynx, another block on the other side, silencing this crowd. Courtney Williams hangs in the air, finds Smith. She can't convert on the fast break, a squandered opportunity for Minnesota's fast break offense, as Ionescu is going to turn it over almost on the other side. Courtney Williams jams it away, but it will stay Liberty basketball, and Smith upset at herself for missing at the rim that last possession, but that was a highlight reel pass from Courtney Williams. Her hang time is just magnificent to watch, and it leaves transition defenses guessing, where is the basketball going? Phoebish, no good off the baseline, out of bounds from about 15 feet, and the rebound snared by Kliundakova. Here's Williams using a high screen from Smith, gets it back to Smith. She'll go to the right side of the floor, set a screen for McBride. McBride is tripped up. Ball goes almost inside. It's going to be taken away. Ball intended for Kliundakova. Phoebish eventually comes away with it. Looking for a deep post up against Jones, and Kliundakova comes right into the passing lane for another Minnesota steal. In the right corner, McBride for three in transition. Can't knock it down. She's missed her last three shots. Ripping down the rebound is Harrison, but stolen away by Kliundakova. Incredibly active here in her time on the floor. And a foul is going to go against Harrison and the Liberty. Coach Reeve was really laudatory of Kliundakova's game. She said, we didn't play her in the second half. Maybe the small lineup didn't quite pay the dividends that we wanted to, but she said she played really well in the time that she got, and she's doing the same here. Here's McBride letting it fly from three. Kayla McBride now back on track, her third triple in this game. She's got 9 points. That's tied for the game high in this contest. 4 minutes to go before halftime. Minnesota back within two, 32-30 as Jones gives a look inside. We'll hand it off to Ionescu. Ionescu has been subdued in this first half. No good from three. And an offensive rebound. We'll keep it right here with the New York Liberty now 10 to shoot. Ionescu slips around against Alana Smith, and Smith denies her along the baseline from 15 feet. Alana Smith just gobbling up every basketball in her range. 3:32 to go before halftime. Minnesota can tie the game or take the lead right here. Kliundakova is going to put it on the deck against Jonquel Jones and lift it up. The floater is good from Kliundakova. Kliundakova has a block and now a bucket, a couple of rebounds, and a steal as well in 7 minutes on the floor, playing against someone who she's looked up to in Svetlana Abrosimova, former Lynx player and 2001 draft pick. Stephanie Talbot for three. That's no good. And the rebound taken by Courtney Williams, speeding up the floor, guarded by Talbot in the front court. She's going to pull up over Harrison. No good from the elbow. And that rebound taken by Jonquel Jones. 32-32. The score right now, 2:46 on the clock. Ionescu gets into the paint, leaves it for Jones. Great closeout there by Alana Smith. And now she's guarding Ionescu, waiting for that screen from Jones. They switch right back. The lob comes inside to Jones. Here's the help defense from Kliundakova. She misses inside. Harrison not able to control the offensive glass. That was poetry in motion defensively for the Minnesota Lynx to stop. This team had his second in offensive rating to the Minnesota Lynx. Lob inside intended for Smith. She can't handle it. A lot of traffic around her, and she again is a little bit slow to get up. She stayed in the game the last time that happened. Now getting back down the floor. It's 5-on-4. Jonquel Jones leaves it out for Talbot, and she's able to recover in time. Ionescu uses a screen from Talbot, trying to get the edge against Alana Smith. Smith again hits the deck, but makes the stop. And Harrison wrapped up. It's going to be a jump ball, and Smith is absolutely leaving everything out there. She is slowly getting back out onto her feet. The toughest player you'll come across as a timeout is called. 32-all, 157 to play before halftime, and a great contest so far here in Brooklyn. You're listening to Minnesota Lynx basketball.
The free iHeartRadio app is #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one. Discover a new podcast from our library of over 350,000 titles. Here's an iHeartRadio podcast preview.
Listen, the reason I wanted to talk to you was because you don't want to talk to me. But yeah, I do actually.
Passenger List, a new mystery thriller from PRX's Radiotopia.
Breaking news.
Breaking news is out. A plane has crashed. Atlantic Flight 702.
The pre-flight checklist has like 30 different things to check. And 12 of them could bring down a plane on their own if they failed.
I have nothing to hide. You can ask me whatever you like.
You knew the plane was doomed. You work with criminals.
So that means I must be involved?
Have you considered that maybe it really was just an accident?
Dylan?
Don't call me again unless it's through the app. It's only safe if we both use it. So what do you want?
Starring Kelly Marie Tran, Colin Morgan, Patti LuPone, and Rob Benedict.
The public deserves to know the truth. The public does know the truth. Flight 702 crashed in the Atlantic due to a bird strike. It's the only truth there is.
Caitlin Lee?
Yes?
I'm Agent Gerard with the FBI. We need to talk.
Passenger List, a new mystery thriller.
Listen and follow this podcast for free on the iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one.
lead changes, 7 ties already in this game. Minnesota and the New York Liberty knotted up at 32 apiece, 1:57 to go here in Barclays Center in the first half. Sloan Martin along with you here from Brooklyn, where you're watching this rematch of the 2024 WNBA Finals. It's another finals rematch at Target Center when the Lynx host the Liberty on Saturday, August 16th. And to make things even more fun, it is birthday. Expect kid-friendly fun, plenty of catitude from your favorite mascot. The first 6,000 fans score a Prowl plush hat. Get your tickets now at lynxbasketball.com/tickets. I'm thinking back to before that first matchup of the season, the first rematch of the finals on July 30th at Target Center, where players, including Kayla McBride, Nafisa Collier, said it doesn't feel like a rematch. Teams have gone their each, individual directions. Where are the 2025 Lynx at this point? And kind of that animosity is, I don't want to say buried right now, but we see this as just a regular season matchup between these two teams. And an interesting scheduling quirk here as well, as the WNBA is promoting its rivalry week and having these teams, at least on Minnesota's side, meet for 3 straight times. It certainly is very reminiscent of a playoff series. So an interesting dynamic, as this is the second meeting of the season between these two teams. Tied up at 32, 1:57 on the clock. It's going to be a jump ball here coming up between Harrison and it looks like Carlton. It's Carlton, McBride, Williams, Kliundakova getting great minutes here, and Smith on the floor for the Minnesota Lynx. Everybody maneuvering. Looks like we're ready to go with this jump ball. Harrison of the Liberty and Carlton tapped out and won by the Liberty in the hands of Ionescu. She goes cross-court pass to Harrison, sizing up against Kliundakova, met by a brick wall, still throws it up and is able to knock it down. Kliundakova was staying as big and vertical as possible, but Harrison able to find a little bit of a seam. She's got 7 points off the bench. The Liberty have 11 points from their reserves in this game. One of the top leaders in bench production in the WNBA this season. 9 to shoot for the Lynx. On the other side, McBride surveying, uses a high screen from Kliundakova, gets the switch, has Harrison on her, goes one way, then the other, tries to float it off glass. Kliundakova, offensive rebound, pump fake, and finish for 2. Tied up at 34 again with 1:10 to go, and Kliundakova has been really strong in her 9 minutes. 2 for 2 shooting, 4 points, 3 rebounds, a steal, and a block as well. 1 minute to go, 10 seconds to shoot for the Liberty as Cloud thought about launching a 3, instead goes inside to Harrison. The turnaround jump shot in the paint is good. Now 9 points for Harrison. That is tied for the game high. Both her and Cloud with 9 points apiece. Williams and McBride 8 points apiece to lead the Minnesota Lynx. They're back on offense now. 10 seconds to shoot. Carlton puts her head down, attacks that just rims out. Kliundakova is fouled, working the offensive glass. Really positive minutes for Kliundakova. That's her 4th rebound, 2nd offensive.
Liberty foul, charge number 21.
Her last 3 games, 7 points, 3 rebounds apiece, 10 for 20 from the floor, and 12 minutes on average. Just playing very strong and stoically right now. She's good on her first free throw. Another one coming up. Emma Miesebin checking in for Isabel Harrison, who also gave great minutes off the bench. Liberty leading 36-35 with one more free throw coming up. The lefty Kliundakova is good. She goes 2 for 2, and she's got 6 points. 35 seconds to go before halftime. Ionescu being guarded by McBride. Taking a look at the arrangement here offensively. McBride bringing some pressure near half court. Ionescu dances around it. Uses a high screen from Miesebin. Gets the step, goes downhill. The reverse is no good, but she is fouled. That's been interesting to watch. Ionescu, who through 4 games in August is shooting just 24% from three-point range. That's 5 for 21. But when you look at her trends this season, for example, in May, 58% of her attempts were from 3. Now that's just 33%. The percentage of her points coming from 3 has gone from 45% to start the season to just 18%. So I think that's a great example there where she is looking to attack maybe more often than we're used to seeing. She is good on the first free throw. Maybe a reason for that is because she is such an excellent free throw shooter. She is second to Kayla McBride in the WNBA this season by 1/10 of a point. 38-36 is Minnesota's lead. Deficit. Shot clock is off now. 10 seconds to go. Minnesota with the basketball. Courtney Williams working around a high screen from Kliundakova. Slices into the paint, picks up her dribble. She's in trouble, and she is blocked by Jonquel Jones. 1 second to go. No shot off will come in time. And we head to the halftime break. The New York Liberty with a narrow lead, 38-36, but an incredibly competitive game in this rematch of the 2024 WNBA Finals. When we look overall, one of the things that sticks out to me, 10 lead changes and 9 ties so far. We are being treated to a great one here at Barclays Center in Brooklyn. Alex Leibel is going to bring the halftime show from our WNBA Tonight studios from Target Center. We'll have highlights. He'll break it all down. Stay tuned for a feature as well about a recent community event by the Minnesota Lynx. That and plenty more to come. This is the Minnesota Lynx Radio Network.
The free iHeartRadio app is #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one. Discover a new podcast from our library of over 350,000 titles. Here's an iHeartRadio podcast preview.
Libertad para Berta por luchar.
Berta Cáceres was one of the most influential advocates for indigenous and women's rights in Honduras.
La discriminación y el racismo que se ha cometido contra el pueblo lenca, contra el Copín.
And in 2013, when she began leading a protest campaign against a proposed hydroelectric dam, she became one of the most celebrated environmental activists anywhere. Honduras was known as the most dangerous place in the world for environmental activists. More than 100 had been reported killed in just the previous 5 years. She told friends about threatening phone calls she'd get. She said strange cars followed her on the road.
She knew that she was very much still being targeted and still at risk of being killed.
Berta was the most powerful activist in her country, but none of the accolades could protect her in the end.
A prominent environmental rights activist was shot dead in Honduras on Thursday, prompting protests in the capital.
My name is Monty Reel, an investigative reporter for Bloomberg Green. On the upcoming podcast, Blood River, we tell the story of a murder in a place where murderers thrive, where about 97% of all homicides are left unsolved and unpunished.
Listen and follow this podcast for free on the iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one.
Shoot for the Lynx. On the other side, McBride surveying, uses a high screen from Kliundakova, gets the switch, has Harrison on her, goes one way, then the other, tries to float it off glass. Kliundakova, offensive rebound, pump fake, and finish for 2. Tied up at 34 again with 1:10 to go, and Kliundakova has been really strong in her 9 minutes. 2 for 2 shooting, 4 points, 3 rebounds, a steal, and a block as well.
A big second half there for Maria second quarter, for Maria Kliundakova. She finishes that second frame, with 6 points, 4 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block, and 2 successful free throws made, 2 offensive rebounds. But the Lynx trail by 2 after 20 minutes of play, 38-36 to the New York Liberty. Welcoming you into the WNBA Tonight studios here at the Target Center. Alex Leibel with you to walk through some of those first half highlights and the box score that breaks down these first 20 minutes that have the Lynx trailing by just 2 points at the Barclays Center. It's Lynx traveling to New York after Friday night's hard-fought win over the Mystics. The top 2 teams in the W facing off here, Lynx and the Liberty, to kick off WNBA's rivalry week. Both teams missing their stars, and no Breanna Stewart, no Napheesa Collier, but both sides were trading punches here early on in the first quarter. It was the Lynx who were able to take the lead after 10 minutes thanks to a big first quarter from Courtney Williams.
Here's Courtney Williams, well contested by Jonquel Jones, and she sticks it. Courtney Williams feeling it right now for the Minnesota Lynx, leading with 8 points. That leads all scorers, and Minnesota's up by 25-22.
That capped 6 straight points there by Courtney. She finished the first quarter with 8 points and 5 assists that accounted for another 12. So 20 of the Lynx' 25 first quarter points were supplied by Courtney Williams, and that was enough for the Lynx to lead by 25-24 after 10 minutes. But the Liberty opened up that second frame on an 8-1 run to take their largest lead of the game, up by just 6 points. But the Lynx, Minnesota, were able to claw their way back into it, as they always do this season.
Ionescu slips around against Alana Smith, and Smith denies her along the baseline from 15 feet. Alana Smith just gobbling up every basketball in her range. 3:32 to go before halftime. Minnesota can tie the game or take the lead right here. Kliundakova is going to put it on the deck against Jonquel Jones and lift it up. The floater is good from Kliundakova. Kliundakova has a block and now a bucket, a couple of rebounds, and a steal as well in 7 minutes on the floor.
Big block there by Alana Smith. A big second quarter from Maria Kliundakova, as I mentioned earlier. Masha making her presence felt in the second quarter. That capped a little 6-0 burst for the Lynx to tie the game at 32. You heard the bump back highlight was to tie the game at 34 by Maria Kliundakova, but 2 Sabrina Ionescu free throws at the end of the half gave New York a 2-point lead at the break, 38-36. Both teams have sank 5 field goals in this contest, the only disparity being from the free throw line. The Lynx are 3 of 6 from the charity stripe. Liberty are 5 for 7. Both teams have sank 3 3-pointers. Both teams have made 15 field goals, and it's been pretty neck and neck in this contest. It even goes back to the last matchup on July 30th, where after the first quarter, this game was tied at 24 before the Lynx were able to take that lead at the half. But this time, Lynx trail by 2. Kayla McBride and Courtney Williams are leading the way for Minnesota scorers with 8 points apiece. Maria Kliundakova with 6 to join Jessica Shepard. Shepard has 6 points, 3 boards, and 1 assist. Lana Smith, 2 points, 5 boards, a steal, assist, a block. 2 blocks, check that for Lan. So she's putting on the defensive output that the Lynx have needed, but they still trail by 2. They are forcing the Liberty to shoot just 40%, which is around the area that the Lynx like to be in, but they are letting up 22 points in the paint. They have trouble scoring off the turnovers. The Lynx have turned the ball over 8 times, or forced 8 turnovers, They have only turned those into 8 points. So they're going to be looking to make some more action out of that, 7 turnovers for 6 points the Lynx have scored, and they are getting offensive rebounds, second chance points, 6 points on those 5 offensive boards. But they do trail by 2 here at the break, 38-36. They're going to look to find some better shooting as both teams are struggling from 3-point range. Lynx 3 of 9, Liberty 3 of 11, and Liberty and the Lynx are the 2 teams that lead the league in 3-pointers made in the W. The Lynx average 9.6 3-pointers made on the season, and the Liberty are 9.7 3-pointers made on the season. So maybe we'll see some more quantity of 3-pointers being shot here in order to make those numbers up. Lynx trail by 2 at the break. We're going to step aside for a quick moment here in the WNBA Tonight studios. When we get back, we got a special feature talking about a special event that took place at the Target Center on Friday night right here on the Minnesota Lynx Radio Network.
At U.S. Bank, when they say they're in it with you, they mean it. Not just for the good stuff, the grand openings and celebrations, although those are pretty great, but for all the hard work it took to get there, the fine-tuning of goals, the managing of cash and workflows, and decision-making. They're in to help you through all of it, because together they're proving day in and day out that there is nothing as powerful as the power of us. Visit usbank.com to get started today. Equal housing lender, member FDIC, copyright 2024, U.S. Bank.
It's what you wait for all week. The 3-pointers, the rebounds, the thrill of every shot. Win or lose, it's the hope that keeps you coming back. The dream that this time, it might be your year. And so you represent with anticipation and with pride. Because when the pressure's on, your support is everything. That's why the NBA store is here to support you. Check out the largest selection of official NBA gear at NBAstore.com. A Fanatics experience.
This is Alana Smith. Williams working with them. Nafisa Collier's screen. They get the switch wide open. Alana Smith from 3. Yes!
Roll with us this season and help make our house the best home court advantage in the league.
No slowing down the Minnesota Lynx here in the fourth.
The Lynx host the New York Liberty for another finals rematch on Saturday, August 16th, while also celebrating Prowell's birthday. Expect all kinds of kid-friendly fun, plus the first 6,000 fans score a Prowell plush hat. Get your tickets now at lynxbasketball.com/tickets.
At Mayo Clinic, we're detecting the undetectable. Using advanced AI technology, our experts can accurately detect signals in the human voice that are indicators of coronary artery disease. We're making more possible at Mayo Clinic because every day we're doing what's never been done. Learn more at mayoclinic.org/possible. Mayo Clinic, you know where to go.
This copyrighted telecast of WNBA Enterprises may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise used in any form without the express written consent of WNBA Enterprises.
Still at the halftime break in New York between the Lynx and the Liberty, but there was a special event that took place at the Target Center in Friday night's win over the Mystics, where the Lynx honored 11 young athletes from Special Olympics Minnesota who signed honorary one-day contracts as part of the Junior Lynx Dream Team initiative back on June 19th. On that day in June, these young athletes signed a professional contract, participated in a media day photo shoot, and joined Lynx players for the Player for a Day practice at the Lynx Mayo Clinic practice courts. Through the Junior Lynx Dream Team, the program strives to build confidence and instill a passion for the game for these young athletes in the community. And for more on this special event and what it means to the players and staff, here's head coach Cheryl Reeve.
I say it's my favorite day in terms of our outreach, community outreach, and just the excitement, enthusiasm. One, that we start with the press conference, right, and where they get to sign their contract and what that feels like. And there was just a lot of excitement, in the theater for that, and then just seeing our players, because it's not just that the participants get a lot out of it, we get a lot out of it too. And that's one of our more meaningful touch points with our community.
Lynx co-captain Kayla McBride shared the same sentiment, discussing the opportunity that these kids have that she was not afforded at that age.
It's a really special day when the Dream Team comes and hangs out with us. It's one of our favorite days of the year, so we're just happy to have them part of our squad. And I'm glad we got a chance to be on the court with them. I remember being young like this and not having an opportunity like that, so it's really cool and a special day for us.
Bridget Carlton spoke about the practice that was held with the Junior Lynx Dream Team and how the young athletes' competitive edge was contagious for the players.
The kids had so much energy and they were bought into it just as much as we were, and we get competitive, and then so it's always fun. I mean, playing basketball, playing sports, we love that. We feel like kids when we're out there. So
Alana Smith especially enjoys these community events because they can be humbling for the players amidst the rigorous routine that a professional athlete endures.
It puts things in perspective for us a little bit. Like, a lot of the times we're so locked in on what we're doing. It's nice to get outside of yourself and give back to the community and get involved as well. And like K-Mac said, it's fun. Like, it's really, really fun to be a part of, and we all really enjoy it.
Truly a special event that took place back in June for all parties involved, with the young athletes of Special Olympics Minnesota being honored on the Target Center court as this year's Junior Lynx Dream Team. We've got 20 minutes in the books between the Lynx and the Liberty at the Barclays Center. Second half action from Brooklyn, New York with Sloan Martin on the call will be coming your way right after this break on the Minnesota Lynx Radio Network.
Looking to shoot your shot and score big, all while giving back to your community? Pilot Games is bringing entertainment with exciting electronic pull tabs to bars and restaurants across Minnesota. Every play is a shot at a jackpot and an assist to a local charity. It's entertainment with a purpose. So next time you're out, look for Pilot Games. Big wins, local impact, nothing but net. Learn more at pilotgames.com.
At Target, we're home court advantage for the hometown sports fans. And with the Timberwolves season in full gear, we're here to help you gear up and make your game day prep a slam dunk. Hear that? That's what you call a buzzer-beating three-pointer for the win. Time to dish up your famous nachos or put a full-court press on some jalapeno poppers. Then serve up some sweet desserts to celebrate the W. However you do game day, we're here for it at Target and Target.com.
Build your own customizable Lynx experience with the Pick 3 plan.
3:40 to go before halftime. Napheesa Collier feeling it from 3.
Pick any 3 games and unlock the chance to buy tickets to the August 24th matchup against the Fever, as well as access to the playoff ticket pre-sale.
There has been no answer for Napheesa Collier in the first half. 24 points.
Head to lynxbasketball.com/pick3 to customize your plan now.
Hailstorm. And Lindsey Sterling. The Never Rest Duality Tour. Live at the Treasure Island Amphitheater. Friday, September 26th. With Apocalyptica. On sale now at TICasino.com. Hailstorm and Lindsey Sterling. Live.
The New York Liberty with the slim halftime lead over the Minnesota Lynx. Sloan Martin along with you here from Barclays Center in Brooklyn, where we just were treated to a really excellent first half. Both these teams certainly slowed down their shooting in the second quarter, shooting 29% and 26% respectively on both sides, but still incredibly high-level basketball played on both sides. No one has reached double figures just yet. Natasha Cloud has 9 points. Isabel Harrison also with 9 points for the Liberty. And for the Minnesota Lynx, they're led by Courtney Williams and Kayla McBride's 8 points apiece, still shooting above 45%. And both these teams in this matchup, of course, without one of their top players. In the case of the Minnesota Lynx, it is WNBA leading scorer and leading MVP candidate Napheesa Collier, who continues to rehab her sprained ankle suffered a couple of games ago at Las Vegas. And then Breanna Stewart, the two-time MVP, out until at least later this month with a knee injury. But you would not get that sense that there was a lot missing on the floor. That is how great that first half was to witness, and just really high-level basketball played in the second meeting of the season between these two teams. The first one went to the Minnesota Lynx back on July 30th, 100-93. And in fact, when you look at regular season, Minnesota's won 2 straight and 3 of the last 4 between these two teams. So this will be the first of 3 straight meetings for the Lynx against the Liberty, of course, today. And then we'll be back at Target Center August 16th, and then back here in Brooklyn August 19th as part of the WNBA's rivalry week that they've been pushing and promoting this week in particular. So Minnesota with a 2-point deficit at the half. They trailed by as many as 6 points, but that's it. That has been the largest deficit, the largest difference between either team in this game so far. An example of just how tight it has been. In fact, there were 10 lead changes and 9 ties in that first half alone. And thinking about this Minnesota Lynx team, where they had that record-setting 53-point victory against the Las Vegas Aces, which was the largest margin of victory in a road win in WNBA history, second largest margin of victory overall in WNBA history as well. Their last 2 games have been won by a combined 8 points. And each of those 2 games against the Seattle Storm and the Washington Mystics each had at least 12 lead changes over the entire game, just swapping back and forth, continuing to have an answer and a bounce back every single possession. But this one, who knows? This might top them all, already with 10 lead changes in the first half, as we are close to getting underway in the third quarter here at Barclays Center. Minnesota 26-5 this season, 10-4 on the road. And this stretch of the season, as we embark here in mid-August, incredibly important for the Minnesota Lynx. They have a 5.5 game lead over the New York Liberty, who are the number 2 team in the WNBA in the standings. In fact, the Liberty closer to the 8th seed than they are the Minnesota Lynx at the top seed. But this could be a debilitating blow if Minnesota is able to really take charge and make a stand over this stretch of playing the Liberty over 3 straight games, as they try to secure a number 1 overall seed for the playoffs. 38-36, the Liberty's lead as we start the third quarter. Minnesota on the floor for them is the starting group of Smith, Williams, McBride, Shepard, and Carlton. Williams facing full court defense by Natasha Cloud as she brings it into the front court. Shepard, a lot of cushion against her outside the three-point line, finds McBride, no good off the curl from about 12 feet. And Minnesota comes up empty on its first possession of the second half. And Liberty with their starters on the floor as well, including Emma Miesemann calling for in the post against Jessica Shepard. Shepard gets in that passing lane, deters it away to the opposite side of the floor. Ionescu now with 8 seconds to shoot. Miesemann takes a look at the rim, still has Shepard on her, facing up against her, will hand it off to Ionescu, and she will dart to the rim for 2. That is the thing again with Emma Miesemann, is the IQ and the elite passing ability. The handoff to Courtney Williams. Bounce pass into Bridget Carlton. She will dart into the paint. Williams will go to the other side of the floor now. One-on-one, McBride tries to get the step along the baseline against Phoebus. She's stuck, tries to throw it off of Miesemann, but she was walled up inside. Liberty leading by 4, 40-36. Phoebus gets her way into the paint, leaves it for Miesemann. Miesemann trying to get the angle against Shepard. She'll fade and hit along the baseline. A crafty scorer, too. So in the first couple possessions, you're really seeing the breadth of what Emma Miesemann brings to this team. And I think about head coach Cheryl Reeve a couple weeks ago, asked by a New York reporter who made the trip to Minnesota about Miesemann joining the team. And Reeve had kind of this wry smile and said, she made the wrong choice. 10 seconds to shoot for the Minnesota Lynx. A high screen for Williams with Smith. Carlton will swing it deep in the corner. Shepard, the drop step. She's met by Miesemann, and Miesemann's going to snatch it away. So showing off the defense there as well in this stretch of play. And her fourth game as a New York Liberty. Jonquel Jones can't finish inside, had the deep post up that she has fouled. And 2 free throws coming up here. And the Liberty have come out of the halftime locker room with great pace and cohesion. Here in the third quarter, they lead 42-36. This is their largest lead, or equals their largest lead of this game so far, with 8:12 to go in this third quarter. As Jonquel Jones with a couple of free throws coming up. She's shooting 80% this season. She is good on the first. Lynx basketball is brought to you by U.S. Bank. U.S. Bank is proud to be the official bank of the Minnesota Lynx. So the largest lead of the game right now for the Liberty, 43-36. And Jones is good on the second. Jones here today with 7 points, 2 of 3 shooting. So Minnesota has limited her attempts, but trying to keep her under wraps as well. Here's Courtney Williams knocking down the mid-range too. It is just automatic for her when she's in rhythm. First player in double figures in this game. She's up to 10 points on 5 for 10 shooting. Also 7 assists, 4 rebounds, and a block in there as well. Pass intended for Jonquel Jones. It's going to go outside of her reach and go out of bounds. It's going to be Minnesota basketball. So for the Liberty, that is now 8 turnovers. Minnesota scored 6 points off of them. Both these teams really good at containing their number 1 and 2 in the WNBA in fewest turnovers. Courtney Williams, they go underneath the screen, can't knock down the 3. Skying for the rebound is Alana Smith, and Courtney Williams will take off again, and the floater is good right at the cup. 44-40 is the Liberty lead. 7:22 to go in the third quarter. Courtney Williams up to 12 points on 50% shooting. Quite a stretch it has been for her. And a deep post-up negated. It was poked away. Dejanay Carrington sprinting up the floor. Leaves it for McBride. No good from long range. Carrington battling for that rebound. It's going to go back to the Liberty, but Minnesota able to force a turnover. Natasha Cloud gets it over to Phoebus as they work it around the perimeter. Ionescu stopped from going back door against McBride. McBride has had her hands full with Ionescu. A pick and pop. Here's Miesemann knocking down the 3. Miesemann in her 4th game in a Liberty uniform has just been 1 for 2 from long range, but she is a strong shooter. It is the largest lead of the game for the Liberty. 7 points, 47-40. Here's Carrington stopping on a dime, rising and hitting right in the middle of the paint to try and silence this crowd. Carrington now with 5 points on 2 of 4 shooting with a couple rebounds, and filling the stat sheet with a steal and an assist in there as well. 6:19 on the clock in the third. Williams took a hard shot on a screen. She is out of the play, and Jonquel Jones fired up, calling for a foul, but there was no whistle there. Williams still a little bit slow to get into the play as McBride one-on-one crosses up Ionescu. Count it! A nasty move by Kayla McBride going one-on-one, attacking Ionescu and finishing with the contact. 47-44 is the Liberty lead, and this could make it a 2-point game with the WNBA leader in free throw percentage stepping up right now. Packed house here at Barclays Center, undeterred. She knocks it down. And for Kayla McBride, second player overall in this contest, the double figures. She's got 11 on 40% shooting. Jones being guarded tightly by Shepard, far outside the three-point line. Carrington gets the assignment on Ionescu, picks her pocket, but then was she whistled for a foul? No, it just was out of bounds. That's Carrington being her usual self. Boy, she is a pest in the best possible way. Just a menace defensively. Minnesota is within 2, 47-45. That was actually a foul going on Ionescu after Carrington was just going to book it down the floor, probably for 2. Great effort there by DiJonai Carrington. She comes to go set a screen for Williams, takes the ball from her instead, looking at the off-ball action, finds Smith. Smith sets a screen for McBride. Carrington has it on the right side of the floor. Now 8 seconds to shoot. She's going to throw up a 3, just grazes front iron, and New York is going to come away with the basketball. They lead by 2, 47-45. Jones will hand it off to Cloud, who whips a pass inside, and Williams fouls Phoebish. So Phoebish had that deep post up and the mismatch against Courtney Williams right on her backside, but prevents at least a 3-point play in that situation. And for Courtney Williams, that is going to be her 4th personal foul. No one else has more than 1. So very interesting development for the Minnesota Lynx as Natisha Heidemann is going to check into the game. Important minutes for Heidemann with Courtney Williams. 4 personal fouls. Cloud steps back and drains the 3. Her second triple today. She's the first Liberty player to double figures. She's got 12 points. She's also plus 10 on the floor in this game. Shepard has it along the perimeter. Heidemann facing up against Johannes. She penetrates her way into the paint, then retreats. 10 seconds now to shoot, picking up her dribble. Smith hands it off to McBride. McBride couldn't quite get downhill, picks up her own dribble. Heidemann, pump fake, drive, slicing, finishing at the rim. Minnesota within 2, 49-47, 4:44 to go in the third quarter. Minnesota continues to respond. Niesemann weaving her way through. That is tough to stop. She had a full head of steam, just spun in the middle of the paint. And it's 51-47. Niesemann in this game, 11 points, 5 of 10 shooting, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, a triple on the way, and good for the Minnesota Lynx. Alana Smith knocking it down this time. She's got 5 points in this game, her first from long range. Here's Jonquel Jones, no good from deep as well. This team in the Liberty leading the WNBA in 3s per game. Here's Johannes, 1 dribble, no good, didn't hit anything. Shot clock doesn't reset. Here's another 3 on the way, and Cloud knocks it down. There was 3 3-point attempts on that possession alone. And finally, Natasha Cloud cashes in. She's got 14 points to lead the New York Liberty and to lead all scorers in this game, 54-50. McBride, she's going to put up a 3 and drain it.
3-point basket, Kayla McBride.
Kayla McBride comes charging back for the Minnesota Lynx when it looked like the Liberty maybe starting to catch some fire right now. She's got 14 points and the team leader for the Lynx. 54-53 as the Lynx back on defense. Johannes tries to feed it inside, poked away by McBride. McBride is guarding Niesemann right now. Carrington trying to put the brakes on Phoebish. They were looking for Niesemann, poked away. A one-handed pass by Jones over to Cloud. She can't connect from 3. That would have been a ridiculous assist right there. A very lucky one as well. Carrington in rhythm, steps into a 3. She's got it. And Kayla McBride lets out a roar, fired up to quiet this building. Carrington now with 8 points, and Minnesota now with the lead again, 56-54 in this heavyweight battle. 10 seconds to shoot for the Liberty, and snatched away in the paint by Carrington. Another steal. Skip pass, Carrington, the trailer. She's going to put it on the deck, tried to feed it inside to Shepard. It was poked away, and it's going to stay Minnesota basketball. Catch your breath as we step aside right here between these two teams. One of the best and most exciting, entertaining games we have seen this season. 2:37 to go in the third. Minnesota up by 2, 56-54. You're listening to Minnesota Lynx basketball.
At U.S. Bank, when they say they're in it with you, they mean it. Not just for the good stuff, the grand openings and celebrations, although those are pretty great, but for all the hard work it took to get there, the fine-tuning of goals, the managing of cash and workflows, and decision-making. They're in to help you through all of it, because together they're proving day in and day out that there is nothing as powerful as the power of us. Visit usbank.com to get started today. Equal housing lender, member FDIC, copyright 2024, U.S. Bank.
Ever wonder how artificial intelligence or 3D printing is used to solve medical problems? Or how research is discovering new ways to slow or even stop medical conditions we used to think of as untreatable? I'm Kathy Worzer. Listen to Tomorrow's Cure, a podcast where I interview experts from Mayo Clinic and other renowned organizations. What they describe may sound futuristic, but listen and you'll find out Tomorrow's Cure is already here. Find it now wherever you get your podcasts.
It's what you wait for all week. The three-pointers, the rebounds, the thrill of every shot. Win or lose, it's the hope that keeps you coming back. The dream that this time, it might be your year. And so you represent with anticipation and with pride. Because when the pressure's on, your support is everything. That's why the NBA store is here to support you. Check out the largest selection of official NBA gear at NBAstore.com. A Fanatics experience.
I feel like our fans show a lot of love. So I seen a bunch of signs telling Disney welcome home. So it's just cool. I think that we have one of the best fan bases in the league. So just that welcome for her. I hope that she felt that, and I know that our fans embrace whoever we pick up. So it was super cool.
Natisha Tiedemann after the last game. The Target Center debut of Dejanay Carrington, who has 2 steals in this game, 3 rebounds, and 8 points on 50% shooting. And for the third straight game, you feel a palpable difference when she enters the game. And fans at Target Center immediately let her go. I still think about and have that feeling of how the crowd swelled when she even went to the scorer's table for the first time at Target Center in a Lynx uniform. It was a really special moment, and I agree with Natisha that I hope that she really took that in and realized the love that was coming her way. But worth pointing out Dejanay Carrington right now. I just mentioned her stat line. She is +4 in this game in 13 minutes. She played over 8 minutes in the fourth quarter in that win over Washington. So she's immediately thrown into the fire here, playing tight contests in her time with the Minnesota Lynx. It was a 4-point win over Washington, a 4-point win against the Mystics, and then this one has gone back and forth, to say the least. Already 11 lead changes and 9 ties. 2:37 to play in the third quarter. Minnesota has just taken back the lead again, 56-54. The largest lead of the game coming in this quarter for the New York Liberty. 8 points. Minnesota has not led by more than 3. Baseline out of bounds coming for Natisha Tiedemann. She'll just get it into Smith. Smith will hand it back to Tiedemann. Tiedemann looking to get a full head of steam. Leaves it for Kliunikova, who's fouled. Oh no, it's a traveling violation. Isabel Harrison just came flying out her with complete abandon, and it appears Kliunikova, who was basically a landing spot for her, may have shuffled her feet in that play. Minnesota leading by 2, 56-54, as Harrison will drop it off to Miesemann. But in the passing lane is Alana Smith. Coming up with the steal is Kliunikova. Sprinting down the floor is Carrington, and Smith is going to reorganize here, finding McBride. McBride trying to get free from Cloud. She'll retreat, use a screen from Kliunikova. Extra pass. Here is Carrington for 3 deep in the corner. Yes! Dejanay Carrington's got 2 triples in this quarter alone. She's up to double figures, 11 points off the bench. That is now 3 straight games for Carrington since she joined Minnesota, above that 10-point bench mark. 1:45 to play before the fourth quarter, and Minnesota gets another steal. An errant pass intended for Miesemann. Darting up the floor is Carrington, dropping it off to Heidemann, and Minnesota immediately silencing this crowd here at Barclays, leading 61-54, and in a blur, their largest lead of the game. It's now 21 bench points for the Minnesota Lynx. Carrington with 11. Kliundakova, who was excellent in the first half, with 6. And Natisha Heidemann now with 4. But the ability of Dejanay Carrington to change the pace of the game that she's in. And she said, that's exactly what I want to do. Streak down the floor, create opportunities. And she was talking to media recently where she said, I want to be the kind of player where we have so many great three-point shooters that if I am someone who's known as a slasher, I'm able to get my way into the paint. That's going to open things up for our transition offense, where Minnesota is one of the leaders in fast break points in the WNBA this season. So already seeing that pay off, her presence on the floor, plus, of course, just getting that steal. Minnesota has 7 steals in this game. Alana Smith with 3, Carrington with 2. To lead things here, Alana Smith, who was 8 for so 2 blocks in this game as well. But Minnesota has reeled off an 11-0 run. Things are pretty quiet here at Barclays Center. 61-54 is Minnesota's lead, and we know how Coach Reeve and his coaching staff preaches about ending quarters with a flourish, and that's exactly what they're doing right now in this matchup of number 1 versus number 2 in the WNBA this season. Liberty 13-3 at home this year. They've won 3 straight overall. Out of the timeout, we'll see what head coach Sandy Brondello comes up with here. Getting over half court is Ionescu, guarded by Carrington. Johannes waits for a screen from Harrison, reuses that screen again, and then back the other way. Johannes will drive, fake out that pass, can't connect at close range, but an offensive rebound by Harrison is going to keep it alive. She has trouble getting it away to Stephanie Talbot. Now 7 to shoot, and they're offensively in disarray. It's going to lead to a turnover. So right out of the timeout, Minnesota with an 11-0 run can continue that here on this possession. It's a really great feeling when you draw up a play and immediately thwart anything positive happening for the opponent. Natisha Heidemann off a flare screen will attack the rim, no good on the layup attempt, but Kliundakova is going to keep it alive. She's stuck along the baseline against Jonquel Jones. Carrington is going to get over to Heidemann to reset. Heidemann one-on-one has the mismatch against Isabel Harrison, takes a look up at the clock, 2 seconds left, fades and knocks down the shot. That's a triple for Natisha Heidemann with 6'4" in her grill, fearlessly putting it down. 7 points for Natisha Heidemann. Minnesota leads 64-54. Their largest lead of the game continues, a 14-0 run. Johannes, soft one leg, fading to her left. She'll knock down the 3. Still 14-3 run. And that is the 6th 3 of the game for the Liberty. They're normally hitting about 10 per contest. They're 6 of 17 from long range collectively. About 2-second difference shot and game clock. Now 12 seconds to go before the fourth quarter as Heidemann waiting for the right time to go. She'll get it to Alana Smith, gets the handoff. The give and go is good for the Minnesota Lynx. 66-57 with a beautiful play call. Johannes, a long heave is no good. And we will head to the fourth quarter, a heavyweight battle here at Barclays Center. 66-57 is Minnesota's lead. You will not want to miss it when we come back here on the Minnesota Lynx Radio Network.
The free iHeartRadio app is #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one. Discover a new podcast from our library of over 350,000 titles. Here's an iHeartRadio podcast preview.
On June 6, 1984, a well-known Beverly Hills con artist named Ron Levin vanishes without a trace. 8 weeks later, a wealthy Iranian exile is kidnapped out of his home and is never heard from again. At first, the 2 disappearances seem unrelated, but soon suspicion falls on a group of young men, united by greed and privilege. They are the golden sons of LA's wealthiest families. They drive matching BMWs, wear tailored Armani suits, lunch at Spago's, and run up tabs at LA's hippest hotspots. They call themselves the Billionaire Boys Club. They are united by a common goal. They want all the riches and status they were promised since birth, and they'll stop at nothing to get it. Their leader is Joe Hunt. He's 23 years old, charming and charismatic, and a master of mind games. But Joe's real talent lies in fleecing millions of dollars from wealthy investors in a high-stakes Ponzi scheme. It's a scheme that will slowly implode and put its members on a path to revenge, kidnapping, and murder. I'm Tracy Patton. Join me and my co-host Timothy Oliphant as we dive into Hollywood in the 1980s, when capitalism is king and greed is good. How did Joe Hunt manage to con millions from investors? Why did a group of privileged young men who had it all follow him down a road of destruction? This is the true story of the Billionaire Boys Club.
Listen and follow this podcast for free on the iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts all in one.
We head to the fourth quarter here at Barclays Center in Brooklyn. Storm Martin along with you. The Minnesota Lynx with its largest lead of the game, courtesy of at one point a 14-0 run. The score 66-57 in their favor. Before that stretch, they had not led by more than 3 points. There have been 11 lead changes and 9 ties in this game. Minnesota scored just 11 points in that second quarter and came back to explode for 30 points in that third quarter, outscoring the Liberty by 11. Both these teams without their top players. You look at the Liberty without Brianna Stewart, at least until late August with a knee injury, the two-time MVP, and Nafisa Collier missing another game. This team 4-1 without her, though, as she continues to rehab from an ankle injury. As we step aside here momentarily to allow our stations to identify themselves. Build your own Lynx experience with the Pick 3 plan. Pick any 3 games, unlock the chance to buy tickets for the August 24th matchup against the Fever, and get access to the playoff ticket presale. Go to lynxbasketball.com/pick3 to customize your plan. The leading scorer for the Minnesota Lynx, Kayla McBride, with 14 points, 5 of 11 shooting. Courtney Williams, 12 points, 7 assists, 4 rebounds. Dejanay Carrington off the bench, 11 points. Minnesota with 26 points from its reserves. As we now start the fourth quarter here at Barclays Center. Ball goes inside to Phoebus. She has a big mismatch there against Natisha Heidemann. And a foul is going to be called. Probably a good play there by Heidemann, knowing she was about to be just buried underneath the basket. Or rather, it's going to go on McBride, it sounds like. So Emma Miesemann is going to take it out from the far sideline into Jonquel Jones. Now, Sabrina Ionescu blanketed by Carrington, looking to get it right back. And a blocking foul is going to go on Carrington. They were trying to pass the ball off. Carrington was trying to take a charge right there. Meanwhile, Courtney Williams not on the floor. We have not seen her in many minutes because she picked up her 4th personal foul in that third quarter with several minutes to go. Phoebus, she'll miss inside, and the rebound collected by Alana Smith. Minnesota leading 66-57, 30 seconds into this fourth quarter. Heidemann maneuvering through the paint, finds McBride. She's going to put up a 3 from long range, and she's got it. 4 threes today for Kayla McBride. She's got 17 points, who over the last 4 games is shooting 54% from deep. And keeping that streak going, Carrington in the passing lane. It's going to stay New York Liberty basketball with 12 seconds to shoot here on this possession. 9:04 on the clock. Minnesota has already beaten the Liberty once this season. One of 4 meetings in this 2024 finals rematch. Johanna's deep cross-court pass to the opposite corner. 1 dribble. 3 is no good by Ionescu, but there's a whistle, it looks like, away from the ball, as both Jones and Klimovnikova, who's played excellent minutes today, got tangled up. So that is going to go on Kliundakova, and that's going to be her first. Carrington has, let me see here. Yes, Carrington has 2. Williams with 4. And that's really the bulk of the foul situation right now. Liberty basketball, Minnesota leading 69-57, their largest lead of this game with that third quarter explosion. Ionescu far away from the basket, 2 seconds to shoot. Miesemann is going to put it up just in time, and it's going to be a shot clock violation.
Shot clock violation.
Minnesota's defense clamping down there. And they're back on offense. Kliundakova, Heidemann stepping up big time with Williams in foul trouble. Smith, McBride, and Carrington off the flare screen. It's Heidemann, the floater no good. Kliundakova working the glass, and it's going to come away to the Liberty. 69-57 is Minnesota's lead, and a foul is going to go on Heidemann. Was trying to slow the speed of Johannes, just getting into that front court with a lot of pace. So on Heidemann, that's going to be her second. She has 2, Carrington 2, and Williams with 4. Williams on the bench right now. Carrington guarding the ball handler in Ionescu. Ionescu today with just 6 points on 2 for 9 shooting. Miesemann gets it over to Ionescu, is met by Carrington. They switch on the screen. Ionescu gets into the paint, leaves it for Johannes. High arcing shot is good from long range. Johannes 3 of 7 from deep today. She's got 10 points, and the third Liberty player in double figures. Minnesota still leads by 9, 69-60, and a foul is going to be called on the Liberty, and it looks like Fibic.
Charge number 13, Leonie Fibic. That is her second.
7:57 to go in this game, second meeting of the season between the top 2 teams in the WNBA. Minnesota enter today 5.5 games up on the Liberty, who are number 2. Sideline out of bounds coming in for Carrington. She goes to Smith, tries to post up inside. The pass finds her from Smith, and she'll finish at the rim. 71-60 is Minnesota's lead. Coach Brondello, I thought you was going to call a timeout there. Maybe there was a turnover. It looks like it's going to be Minnesota basketball. It is going to be a turnover on Jonquel Jones. Thought that might have been a timeout called by Brondello. It happened so quickly, and a baseline out of bounds. An easy lay-in for Dejanay Carrington, who has fit in seamlessly with the Lynx. You would not know this is her third game wearing this uniform, and Minnesota forces another turnover. Men for Fibic, up ahead, Smith to Heidemann for 2. Minnesota grabbing control of this game on the road. 75-60 is their lead. Until the third quarter, Minnesota had not led by more than 1 possession, but they are now in the driver's seat trying to go 2-0 against the Liberty this season with a 15-point lead, 7:30 to go in this game. We're going to step aside here for a moment on the Minnesota Lynx Radio Network.
Courtney Williams, what is one thing you're confident you're better than all of your teammates at? Dancing, for sure. Easily the best dancer on the team. The only person that can maybe see about me is T, but I got her because she just learned how to dance, and I've been dancing all my life. If you could star in a movie or show, what actor, actress would you want to work with? Honestly, if I could star in a show, I would want to probably go Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I would want them to make me a character that they already got air, they got fire, water, earth. I would want to be with Earth. Nah, actually, I would go with my boy Aang, because he the last airbender left, so he needs somebody. Who was your favorite athlete growing up, any sport? My favorite athlete was Cappie Pondexter. And reason being is because when I saw her in the league, she's short like me, she had tats like me, she had the midi, like she was just a dog, so I just saw myself in her, so that was my favorite player growing up, for sure.
Alex Leibold here with you in the WNBA Tonight studios for a scoreboard update. The Lynx and the Liberty are the only contest going on right now, but it is a busy day for Sunday afternoon in the WNBA. 4 other games going on later this afternoon. The Washington Mystics are in Dallas facing off against the Dallas Wings, who have lost 6 of their last 7. The Mystics have also lost a decent spell. They have lost 5 of their last 6, but Paige Beckers is in for the Wings, so maybe that'll give them a much-needed boost. The Atlanta Dream and Phoenix Mercury, both at 19 and 11 on the season. A marquee matchup here in Phoenix in the desert. Brittany Griner and Ryan Howard are both out for the Dream in this one. Griner missing her 4th straight contest. The Seattle Storm are in Los Angeles facing a red-hot Sparks team. The Storm have lost 5 of 6 heading into this one tonight, and the Sparks have won 8 of their last 10. Cameron Brink is back with the Sparks, and they are playing good basketball. They tip off just after 7 p.m. in L.A. The Connecticut Sun are in Las Vegas facing off against the Aces, who have won 5 of their last 6, sitting in 6th in the WNBA standings. Let's head back to New York with Sloan Martin for the finish of this one.
Thanks, Alex. 7:31 to go when Minnesota has opened up its largest lead of the game, 15 points, courtesy of a 14-0 run toward the end of that third quarter. And they're up here in the fourth quarter, 9-3 so far. It has been takeover time for the Minnesota Lynx, and playing outstanding basketball. They're 4 of 5 to start this fourth quarter. Meanwhile, the New York Liberty are 1 for 3, so Minnesota is diminishing even their opportunities, taking the ball away. They have forced 17 turnovers against the New York Liberty, a team that is 5th in the W this season. They turn it over 14 times per game. That also includes 8 steals, by the way, for the Minnesota Lynx, one of the top in the league when it comes to steals per game. It is that defense that is clawing and scratching its way to get this lead. Of course, it helps that Minnesota has been shooting 55%, including 50% from 3, 9 for 18. But to see how disruptive Minnesota has been defensively, I think is something this coaching staff is going to like very much. Out of the timeout, Ionescu off a flare screen. No good from 3, gets her own offensive rebound, flies into the paint. She's good right at the rim. Read that perfectly right off the rim. Ionescu now with 8 points on 30% shooting. Kleodakova will hand it off to Carlton, joined on the floor by Carrington, Smith, Heidemann, and Carrington no good from long range. The rebound taken by Natasha Cloud as she sprints over half court. Leaves it for Jonquel Jones. Jones hands it off to Ionescu, now being guarded by Carlton. She will tightrope along the baseline, has that pass poked away as she went flying, and it looks like it's going to stay Liberty basketball. I'm not sure if there was a whistle. It is incredibly loud and packed in this building. These Liberty fans knowing the stakes of this game. Minnesota, the number 1 team in the WNBA against their number 2 squad. The sideline out of bounds. There was no foul on that play. Ionescu throws a bullet inside. It's broken up. Another steal by the Minnesota Lynx. Heidemann playing big minutes with Courtney Williams, picking up her 4th personal foul in the third quarter. Carlton reevaluating, finds Carrington over on the right wing. She gets the handoff from Smith. Smith instead going to the opposite side of the floor. Heidemann, pump fake, trying to get herself free of Jonquel Jones. 2 seconds to go. Alana Smith takes a shot at the buzzer, but it is going to be a shot clock violation. So great movement there, maybe a little too unselfish by the Minnesota Lynx, evaluating multiple mismatches they had. But Minnesota still offensively with 4 players in double figures, led by Kayla McBride, 17 points on 50% shooting. Back on defense here again with 6 minutes to play. They go to Jones at the high post, guarded by Kleodakova, who's played excellent minutes today. Carrington not able to get this steal, doesn't give up on the play, but Ionescu is going to knock down the mid-range too. It is 75-64. Minnesota going to have to keep their foot on the gas to keep this Liberty team at bay. They need a charge to make it a 7-point loss, even though Minnesota led by 15 that first matchup too. Carrington no good from the free throw line off a curl, and the rebound snatched by Cloud as she gets it over half court. It's being guarded by Carlton. She gets caught on a screen, and Cloud can't knock it down from long range. The rebound secured by Smith. Up ahead to Heidemann. She attacks right at Jones. Jones with the rejection. It's going to be Liberty basketball. 75-64 is Minnesota's lead. Jones goes behind the back, and it's picked off by Kleodakova. Up ahead to Heidemann, and she finishes. The defense again assisting the offense for the Minnesota Lynx. They lead 77-64, approaching 5 minutes left. 10 steals, including 3 from Kleodakova in this game. Just exquisite for her in this matchup. Long three by Ionescu is no good. She is 0 for 5 from long range, has 10 points for the New York Liberty. And it looks like a timeout is going to be called by head coach Cheryl Reeve with 4:57 to play. Minnesota still in the driver's seat here at Barclays, trying to go 2-0 against the number 2 team in the WNBA, the New York Liberty, and this time on the road. 77-64 is their lead as we step aside on the Minnesota Lynx Radio Network.
The free iHeartRadio app is #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one. Discover a new podcast from our library of over 350,000 titles. Here's an iHeartRadio podcast preview.
I'm Mark Murphy. I'm a chef, restaurateur, and all-around curious guy with a true interest in all things food. I've been cooking for over 30 years. I've worked in and owned a number of restaurants, but my experience as a judge on Food Network's Chopped for the past 10 years has really piqued my curiosity in the food culture. I believe there's a story behind every meal, a story behind every person who makes it, a story behind each ingredient used, and I want to know everything I can about it, and that's why we're here. My new podcast, Food 360, will take an all-encompassing look at the world of food, bringing history, science, and culture to the table. You'll get behind-the-scenes stories from my friends in the industry and dig into why we eat the way we do.
I always say the restaurants are like nuclear particles. After 5 years, they start losing their mojo, and you have to re-energize them.
Being a restaurant worker, being a chef, is the biggest privilege of my life. To be able to do that all over the world, it's hard, but it's also one of the things that actually gets me up in the morning.
Truthfully, I'm able to separate, for the most part, my personal likes and dislikes from if a dish is successful in its preparation and judge if it has merit. And I think a lot of it also comes from the chef's intention.
The most important thing for me is not my writing ego. It's getting people to cook delicious food.
Be sure to subscribe to Food 360 on the iHeartRadio app.
77-64, Minnesota Lynx over the New York Liberty. 4:57 to play, and you're getting to crunch time here. If Minnesota can put away the New York Liberty, that is going to increase their lead in the standings even further. Entering today, it's already 5.5 games. That is more than a solid cushion, but with 3 consecutive games against this New York Liberty team, this is a moment, not just to make a statement, not just on paper in the standings, but to really continue to create distance as they try to lock up that #1 overall seed. When we look at this game, meanwhile, the Lynx at one point trailed 47-40 with 6 minutes to go in the third. Since that point, it has been a 40-24 surge for the Minnesota Lynx, who have held the Liberty to just 32% three-point shooting. Minnesota with 9 triples themselves, 10 steals. They have forced 19 turnovers and scored 22 points off of them. To me, that says that Minnesota has dictated this game against the #2 team in the WNBA. They're shooting 53%. They are locking down defensively against this New York Liberty team that is 8-1. They are, 8-1 this season when they are able to score over 80 points. Under 5 minutes to play, Minnesota with the basketball, leading 77-64. McBride will swing it. Courtney Williams back into the game, sat since a couple minutes left in the third quarter. Offensive rebound for Dejanay Carrington, looking for the assist, and she secures it as Alana Smith knocks down the triple. And Alana Smith, a big yell as she runs back on defense. Smith today with 8 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 4 steals. Those 7 assists tie her career high. Throwing the ball inside, and Minnesota has another steal. They were just forcing it into Jones. That turnover coming from Miesemann, and Minnesota takes back over control offensively. Williams uses a high screen, gets the switch, has Jones on her, takes her to the paint. The floater isn't there, and the rebound tapped to herself by Miesemann and over to Cloud. She finds the trailer and Jones. Jones surveying right now, picks up her dribble, finds Miesemann cutting. Kliundakova in there to poke it away. So great to see Kliundakova having great minutes in this game. And, of course, this Lynx coaching staff is going to count those deflections. Alana Smith was the deflection champion, had 6 against Washington. And Kliundakova playing in front of a former Lynx player, Svetlana Abrosimova, who is here. They share Russian heritage, as Jonquel Jones will get herself to the rim, taking the feed inside. That's what the Liberty have been trying to get time and time again. That's now 30 points in the paint compared to Minnesota's 38, but Minnesota has been able most times to fend it off. Here's Williams using a screen from Kliundakova. She'll pull up over Jonquel Jones. The mid-range no good. One-armed rebound by Kliundakova and a jump ball. Kliundakova might have bigger numbers in other games, but I think this is her best game as a member of the Minnesota Lynx, with 6 points on 2 for 2 shooting, 5 rebounds, 4 steals in this game. With 3:24 to go, it's going to be a jump ball between the 6'4" Kliundakova and Natasha Cloud, the point guard, but it was ill-timed. Elena Smith tries to come up with it, and it's just snatched away by Cloud. Up ahead to Ionescu, full head of steam, and a vicious block by Kliundakova, but it will be a foul called. Oh, that would have been just vicious by Kliundakova. And they're going to review it. Kayla McBride emphatically twirling her index finger in the air, really building up Kliundakova. And it's fun to watch her work with assistant coach Rebecca Lamar Brunson before each game and as they're warming up. And Coach Brunson trying to infuse her with confidence. She's hugging her, building her up, and really trying to show how important she is to this team. And she has stepped up big time today. Here with an overturned call, and I mentioned this earlier, Minnesota second in the WNBA. Thanks for the assist to Maddie Schiller, a statistician for the Minnesota Lynx, for giving me this information that the Minnesota Lynx have a 78% success rate when it comes to challenges, and we've seen it work time and time again, especially late in games. And it's this combination of Schiller, who I just mentioned, and the director of video, Celia Marfone, who were taking a dual-pronged approach, looking at both the analytics and also just the game situation of what this might mean. Who's going to the free throw line? How many fouls might this be? How could this turn things and flip this game? All has to be calculated within a couple of seconds. And I had a conversation with Marfone about this too, about the pressure of this moment where you have players down your throats. You might have Coach Reeve down your throat too, wanting to know an answer and needing it to be right. And maybe sometimes having to say no in those situations too. So this play currently under review right now. We'll see if this turns into a Kliundakova block. She has one today. Watching it real time is what I can offer. It looks clean. The headset is coming off, and maybe we'll have an official answer right here soon, with Minnesota leading 80-66 with 3:16 to go in this game. Minnesota seized control of this contest, number 1 versus number 2, with a 14-0 run at the tail end of the third quarter. Picked right back up with the hot shooting in the third. They have 11 steals in this game, have forced 20 turnovers.
Minnesota's challenge was successful.
And Minnesota's challenge is successful. So Kliundakova is going to get that block, and Minnesota's success rate is going to stay as strong as it is, second in the WNBA behind the Las Vegas Aces. So Minnesota leads 80-66, 3:16 on the clock. It's a baseline out of bounds here for the New York Liberty. Cloud is just going to get it in to Jonquel Jones. Jones is going to step back against Kliundakova and hit it over her. That's just a high degree of difficulty, tip your cap kind of shot, because Kliundakova was completely vertical and closing in on her in a really tight window. 3 minutes to play as Carrington, directing some traffic, will find McBride. Carrington continues to not do too much. The ball goes inside to Smith. She just gets it out safely. Kliundakova, long 2 is off target. And the rebound taken on the weak side by Cloud, speeding up the floor. Drops it off to Meesum in the trailer, and Ionescu. Good closeout by Courtney Williams, who deters that 3. Courtney Williams, who sat for a good chunk of this second half, closed out magnificently on Ionescu, didn't allow her to take off with the dribble, and did not foul her. Ionescu, 0 for 6 shooting from 3 today, just 10 points on 4 of 14 shooting. 7 seconds to shoot for the Minnesota Lynx as Williams now has Jones on her again. She's going to pull up from the long 2, and she drains it. Courtney Williams never faced confidence never wavers. She steps up in back-to-back games with a huge 2. Miesemann will swing it along the perimeter, along the baseline now is Phoebish, and she will rattle home a 3. It is 82-71. Minnesota still on top with under 2 minutes to go. Number 1 versus number 2, Minnesota, 26-5 this season. The Liberty 20-10 as McBride taking her time at the top of the paint. Minnesota knows it has time on its side. She penetrates. Kliundakova is going to put up a 3. That's off target. Offensive rebound. Dejanay Carrington. Big game player in Carrington in her third contest with the Minnesota Lynx comes up with a big play. Williams is going to be blocked by Jonquel Jones on the attempt. Up ahead to Cloud. Missed on the lay-in. Alana Smith in the air, kept vertical. There is no whistle, and Minnesota takes back over control, leading 82-71 with 1:12 left.
A technical foul has been charged to Liberty's number 9, Natasha Cloud.
Looks like Natasha Cloud has just been charged with a technical. Clearly upset at that no call on the opposite side. So Kayla McBride, who leads the WNBA in free throw percentage, will step up here for the technical free throw. Minnesota leads 82-71, and Cloud is still fired up, and Miesemann has to pull her away. And McBride will knock it down. It is 83-71, 1:12 on the clock. Speaking of free throws, by the way, the Liberty lead the WNBA in free throw makes per game. They're just 7 for 9 today. Minnesota 5 for 8, so a pretty even distribution there as well. 1:10 to go. Minnesota with the basketball. Courtney Williams watching the off-ball action, waits for a screen from Kliundakova. Being guarded by Johannes, the long 2. She's going to throw it up. Long rebound is going to go out of bounds, and it will be New York Liberty basketball. And it looks like Courtney Williams, even with the score, what it is, 83-71, was looking for the dagger again. She had the go-ahead, too, just a couple days ago against the Washington Mystics. And that time doesn't fall. 50 seconds on the clock. Johannes is going to retreat out of the paint, throw it back inside. Isabel Harrison facing up against Alana Smith. She will turn, fade, and I think Smith got a piece of that. It hit nothing. Alana Smith, remarkable today with 8 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, 4 steals, and 2 blocks. Williams uses a screen from Smith, gets back out of the paint. Kliundakova crosses up Miesemann, attack. She cannot finish. That would have been a dazzling play, especially with how she's been playing in this contest. But Minnesota still leads 83-71, 18 seconds left. About a 4-second difference, make that 2-second difference shot in game clock. And Talbot is just going to dribble things out here. Fans starting to exit here at Barclays Center. 2 seconds to shoot in the shot clock, and Talbot will throw it up. That's no good. And it goes official here in Brooklyn. Make it 2-0 Minnesota Lynx over the Liberty in this regular season series. The final 83-71 in a matchup that, at least for the first half, felt like a heavyweight battle before Minnesota put their foot on the gas, took control of this game, and improved this season to 27-5, 11-4 on the road. This was a marvel to watch in this one. I think one of the maybe best games the Lynx have played this season. We know that the New York Liberty, not 100%. They are shorthanded in this game without Brianna Stewart, without 2 main bench players. But for Minnesota to come into this building and defeat the Liberty 83-71, I think is a pretty strong statement to be made here, too. With 2 more matchups coming up in the next couple weeks, or rather 2 weeks, between these 2 teams, ostensibly still number 1 and 2 in the WNBA. All right, we're going to have our post-game up next here on the Lynx Radio Network. When we come back, we'll see if we can dip into some post-game press conferences here with Coach Reed and her players. I'll break it all down, see how we got here. Plenty more to come here from Barclays Center in Brooklyn, with Minnesota defeating the Liberty for the second time this season in this 2024 WNBA Finals rematch, 83-71. Plenty more coming your way here on the Minnesota Lynx Radio Network.
350,000 titles. Here's an iHeartRadio podcast preview.
This is Mobbed Up.
He's one of you, you kill him.
A true story about money,
You're not supposed to have a profile like that, especially in Vegas.
crime.
You want to be very quiet so you can steal the money.
You always said if you pull a gun on somebody, you finish it, because if you don't, it's going to come back to haunt you.
And I remember saying, "What's going on here?" And he said, "They're trying to kill me." And I said, "Who's trying to kill you?" And then he shut up.
And the fight for control of Las Vegas.
The FBI will continue to look to the future to use the latest and most sophisticated techniques to fight organized crime.
The mob would have destroyed Las Vegas. The only question, not if, but when it would be destroyed.
I was there every day with these fellas. I had no idea that there was a mob.
And he once told somebody, there's bodies out there in the desert, and there's more every day.
But if there is one area where the word war is appropriate, it is in the fight against crime.
You grab them, you'll bring them to the desert. You're going to know where the hole has been dug.
This is Mobbed Up.
Listen and follow this podcast for free on the iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts all in one.
Keep it alive. She's stuck along the baseline against Jonquel Jones. Carrington is going to get over to Heidemann to reset. Heidemann one-on-one has the mismatch against Isabel Harrison. Takes a look up at the clock. 2 seconds left. Fades and knocks down the shot. That's a triple for Natisha Heidemann with 6'4" in her grill, fearlessly putting it down. 7 points for Natisha Heidemann. Minnesota leads 64-54. Their largest lead of the game continues. A 14-0 run. That was tonight's Mayo Clinic moment of excellence. At Mayo Clinic, we're doing what's never been done. That was a fun one here at Barclays. 83-71. The Minnesota Lynx defeating the New York Liberty, holding a team in the Liberty that is second in points per game, that is third in offensive rating to just 71 points and 33% shooting from three-point range. I'm Sloan Martin here at Barclays Center in Brooklyn. Start of our post-game show here as the Minnesota Lynx improve to 27-5 this season, including 11-4 on the road. We look at the first quarter, how this game began. First of all, in the first half, there were 10 lead changes and 9 ties. Both teams incredibly hot to start this game. Minnesota in that first frame shot 11 of 19. The New York Liberty 10 for 18 in that first quarter. And we were getting that heavyweight bout that we were promised with the #1 versus #2 team in the WNBA going head to head. Incredibly entertaining, well played, quick pace, just enjoyable high-level basketball to watch, as we, of course, have come to expect between these two. In the second quarter, both these teams cooled off quite a bit. Minnesota was 4 of 14 at 29%. New York shot 26%. But Maria Kliundakova was really great in that second quarter, scored all 6 of her points in that frame. I'll get to this when we go to the final box score, but she finished with 23 minutes, was just solid all around in this contest for the Minnesota Lynx. Looking at the third quarter, that was when everything changed. A takeover in the second half by this Minnesota Lynx team, where they shot 12 of 18, including 5 of 8 from three-point land. Kayla McBride had 6 points. Natisha Heidemann had 9 points in that third quarter. And that was so huge for Natisha Heidemann. We know the kind of player she is, how she can come in, how big of an impact she can make. But when Courtney Williams picked up her 4th personal foul with a couple minutes to go in the third quarter, Natisha Heidemann was right there to step into that spot. And that's why they are so good and so good together, how they play off of each other. Different kinds of games, different kinds of point guards. But when you have a backup point guard like Natisha Heidemann, who has been to the WNBA finals, who has been on great teams, does not shy away from from stepping up her game and elevating, and that's exactly what the Minnesota Lynx got from her. DiJonai Carrington with 8 points in that third quarter. Just a really fun one as Minnesota took control. They had a 14-0 run at that point that helped them seize control of this contest, including that last basket you heard from Natisha Heidemann that just lit a fire with this team. Minnesota in the fourth quarter was basically able to hold on from there, where they still outscored the New York Liberty 17-14. But in the second half, Minnesota outscored the Liberty 47-33. That includes that 30-point third quarter after they had only scored 11 points in that second quarter, and a significant bounce back in the third led them to this victory, able to keep the New York Liberty from threatening again, which was not the case at Target Center. The Liberty came storming back in that game, made it a 4-point contest with about 2 minutes to go in that game before Minnesota held on for a 7-point win. Coach Reeves said, it was a great game. New York is a handful, and they played great, but we scored just enough more to be able to pull out that kind of victory. 83-71, Minnesota over the New York Liberty. They are 2-0 against the Liberty in the regular season. Here, this rematch of the 2024 WNBA Finals. The top team versus the second-place team in the WNBA, as Minnesota entered today with a 5.5-game lead over the Liberty, and that's only going to increase right here. Looking individually, what really stood out, first of all, the leading scorer for the Minnesota Lynx, Kayla McBride, who had 18 points on 50% shooting, knocked down 4 threes, also had 2 assists in there as well. She was plus 21 for this game. Right behind her is a couple of players who came off the bench. DiJonai Carrington, 15 points, 6 for 10 shooting. She had 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and what an impressive stat line. When you look at her first 3 games with the Minnesota Lynx, how impressive this is. 13 points, 12, 15. She's putting up multiple rebounds. She's had a couple of 2 steal games as well, but I think what is most important is also her efficiency too. 6 for 10 today. 4 for 7 most recently, and then against Seattle, 5 for 7 shooting. And she still has continued to not just comfortably settle into this role. Certainly it has been seamless, but she's continued to be herself. I think sometimes you might worry about that transition where she has a really good debut, then she has a really good second game. Does she maybe get a little bit too loose with things here? But no, this is a winning player. That's what she says about herself. She's also been to the WNBA final. She has competed at a very high level on very talented teams in the WNBA, and she is ready to put in the work and help elevate this team too. I think DiJonai Carrington deserves a ton of credit for these last 3 wins, for just how steady she has been, the elements that are different that she has brought. So an outstanding game for DiJonai Carrington. Natisha Heidemann mentioned her impact, especially in that second half. 13 points for her, 6 for 11 shooting. So she was aggressive and she was attacking in this game as well. 1 for 2 from long range. Maria Kliundikova, excellent off the bench. And I mentioned this during the broadcast that she was playing in front of another Russian superstar, a former member of the Minnesota Lynx, in Svetlana Abrosimova, who was in the building here tonight. A guest of hers. Of course, they know each other because of their Russian nationality. The former number 7 pick in the 2001 draft, who was a WNBA champion, Olympic medalist. She said, and I talked to her before the game, she's just someone who's been extremely supportive and encouraging of me in my WNBA career. She had a fantastic game, 34 bench points for the Minnesota Lynx. Just remarkable. And then also in double figures was Courtney Williams, who got this team off to a hot start. 14 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, and a steal and a block as well on 7 for 18 shooting. The Minnesota Lynx hold the New York Liberty under their season average for threes. They knocked down 8 on 33% shooting. They shot 42% overall as a team. But when you look individually here too, Yes, they do have 5 in double figures. It was a very balanced effort by the Liberty, but Sabrina Ionescu 0 for 6 from 3, 10 points for her. Jonquel Jones just 7 shots in this game. She had 11 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, so she found other ways to fill up the stat sheet, but Minnesota was able to bottle her up. Even Emma Miesemann, she shoots under 50%, has 11 points in this game. They force her into 4 turnovers, and collectively as a team, you look at Minnesota having 11 steals in this game. They forced, in this contest, 20 turnovers against this Liberty team, and that led to 22 points. That was a huge difference maker for the Minnesota Lynx. So this was an example of one of those complete wins for Minnesota in this 83-71 victory. Offense, defense, all of it clicking and looking strong, especially as they took over in the second half. All right, right after this, Alex and I are going to wrap things up from Barclays Center when we return right here on the Lynx Radio Network.
Hi, it's Bridget Carlton.
Head down, she stopped at the rim, gets it right back. Carlton for 3, at the buzzer, and she unleashes a roar.
Roar with us this season and help make our host the best home court advantage in the league.
No slowing down the Minnesota Lynx.
The Lynx host the New York Liberty for another finals rematch on Saturday, August 16th, while also celebrating Prowell's birthday. Expect all kinds of kid-friendly fun, plus the first 6,000 fans score a Prowell plush hat. Get your tickets now at lynxbasketball.com/tickets.
Hit the green and the gaming floor with Treasure Island Resort and Casino's Golf and Stay Hotel Package. Play a round of golf for 2 at Mount Frontenac Golf Course. Then make the short drive to the island and get in on the action with $50 free slot play. After a fun-filled day, unwind with a one-night stay in our luxurious hotel. Book your stay now at ticasino.com. Treasure Island Resort and Casino. Destination fun.
Sloan Martin back here from Barclays Center in Brooklyn. The Minnesota Lynx victorious over the New York Liberty for the second time this season. They are 2-0 against the team that is directly behind them, that's chasing them in the WNBA standings, the New York Liberty. The final 83-71. The Minnesota Lynx entered today with a 5.5 game lead over the New York Liberty. As of right now, that's now 6.5 games over the number 2 team in the WNBA. This was a big, big win, and 2 more matchups to come between these 2 teams consecutively for the Minnesota Lynx. As I welcome in my partner back at the WNBA Tonight studios at Target Center in downtown Minneapolis, Alex Leibold. And Alex, I thought this was an incredibly fun game. Of course, Minnesota takes over in the second half, that 14-0 run, and just kept them at bay in that fourth quarter. But some things that stand out to me, 34 bench points, and then also the defense with 20 turnovers forced, leading to 22 of their own points.
Yeah, it was an all-around great game and a fun one, too. Like you said, there were 9 lead changes in that first quarter, so the Lynx did a really good job of staying in this contest in that first frame, where Courtney Williams really carried a lot of that load. 20 of the first 25 points the Lynx scored were supplied by Courtney's 5 assists and 8 points. But like you said, the bench production coming from Dejanay Carrington, Natisha Heidemann, even Masha Kliendokova had a huge game, 4 steals, 2 blocks, 5 rebounds, 6 points. She really stuffed the stat sheet in 23 minutes. But Dejanay Carrington and Natisha Heidemann were exactly what the Lynx needed in this contest, especially in that second half. They needed the spark plug that those 2 provided all season long, and since Carrington has joined the team, and they did it again here today, they combined for 17 points in that third quarter alone. They finish in that second half alone, they combined for 25 points of the Lynx. I believe they scored 40 in that second half. So 47, of their points came in that second half. So Dejanay Carrington also 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals in that second half alone to really push the pace and get momentum back on the Lynx's side, doing what she does best on the defensive end. So it was a really well-rounded win. It shows the depth of this team, how they're able to find players that can provide that spark even when their big-name player, Napheesa Collier, still is out.
Well, Carrington was second on the team, plus 14. Kayla McBride was plus 21. Alana Smith also plus 14. And Alana Smith, when you look at her 8 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, 4 steals, this is something that has been a consistent theme, Alex, in the absence of Napheesa Collier, where we don't have our big three. Where else are we getting those contributions? Who else is going to elevate their game and what they do best? And it has felt like without Napheesa Collier now in a 3-game stretch, it has been the epitome of that, of what Coach Reeve has challenged her team to do. Just read off Smith's stat line, whether it's Carrington or Cleo Dakova, it really can be a different person each and every night. And I think that's another element that is impressive to me about this win.
Agreed. This team has that mentality of next person up to really contribute in any way that they can. And I do want to highlight Alana Smith, like you mentioned. She had a career high in assists tonight with 7, but it's how she has stepped up into that big 3 role when Napheesa Collier goes down. Fee missed the game against the Washington Mystics back on June 24th. She had her career-high 26 points in that contest with 6 blocks to go with it. And then in the last contest against the Mystics, also without Napheesa Collier, she was 1 point off of her career-high with 25. So she's really stepping up into that role and finding ways to impact the game outside of scoring. Obviously, those 2 career highs that I mentioned, but the 7 assists, 9 rebounds, 4 steals, 3 blocks today. She really did it all on both ends, and she has a physical matchup every time she takes the floor. We talk about it all season long about the matchups and how hard it can be for Alana Smith, but she really shows up night in and her day in and day out in this case, and it really has been a huge boost for the Lynx as they try and find ways to win without their MVP.
83-71 is Minnesota's victory over the New York Liberty. The first matchup also went Minnesota's way, 100-93 at Target Center. And Minnesota in this one shoots 49%, 10 for 21 from 3, just all around top to bottom. A lot of positive aspects of this game, particularly that balance and everyone chipping in to this victory. Alex, let's take a look at what's coming up ahead. And the answer is easy. But I think what is also interesting about what's coming up is that the Minnesota Lynx, and it feels strange to say, don't play till next weekend. They actually get some breathing room here before they lace them back up again against this Liberty team.
Yeah, a full 5 days off to come back to Minnesota, get into the practice arena, and really work on things that maybe Coach Reeve thinks can be worked on. Obviously, some impressive wins lately by Minnesota, but they get to look at all the film against New York and really hone in on what they need to fix in that next matchup against the Liberty. But the Liberty, on the other hand, have 2 games in between now and then. They have a back-to-back on the road on Tuesday and Wednesday. They travel to Los Angeles, who are really hot right now. They've won 8 of their last 10 games. Going into tonight's contest, they still have to play. They tip off with the Storm just after 7 p.m., and then they fly from L.A. to Las Vegas to face off against the Aces that following night before flying to Minnesota. So the Liberty have their hands full this week in the WNBA. They're going to be traveling a lot. Who knows how tired they'll be come Saturday early afternoon. Tip-off for that one's just after 1 p.m. But this is a Liberty team that now falls 6.5 games behind the Liberty in the standings. They are now, after the Atlanta Dream and Phoenix Mercury play, they will be tied on record with one of these 2 teams for second place. If Atlanta beats Phoenix tonight, Atlanta will stay in third and New York will stay in second. But if the Mercury come out with the win, Phoenix has that matchup advantage tiebreaker over the Liberty. They have won 2 of the 3 games they've played this season. So Phoenix would actually jump into second place, but they would still both be 6.5 games behind. So there's a lot on the line for the Liberty here this week. If they come out and they falter against the Sparks or against the Liberty, the Lynx can really put their foot on the gas and run away with the playoff seeding. And even tonight, if the Los Angeles Sparks lose their contest with the Storm tonight, the Lynx punch their ticket into the playoffs. So maybe some scoreboard watching for the Lynx fans and the Lynx players tonight as they travel back to Minnesota.
Oh, that was a really great breakdown. And you're right, this is going to be scoreboard watching season for sure. And I just had to look this up as you were talking about the New York Liberty schedule. You look at the Sparks, the last stretch of play, they have turned into one of the best offenses in the WNBA. Their last 9 games, they lead the WNBA in points per game, field goal percentage, 3rd in 3-point percentage, 3rd in assists per game. They get Cameron Brink back. So this is no guarantee by any means that the Liberty will come back victorious, that they're going to rebuild that confidence again and want to take it back to the Lynx. So this is a very tough stretch, and I don't think one you can certainly overlook for this Liberty team. And interesting, I talked about this being kind of a scheduling quirk during this rivalry week being promoted by the WNBA, where it's 3 straight games. And I think there is, Alex, too, an element of a little bit of a playoff series where you can look at the granular aspects game to game to really further create that distance in the standings.
Yeah, even though the games are separated by those 5 or 6 days in between now and Saturday, you can still definitely look at every nook and cranny possible from the previous 2 matchups this season between the Lynx and the Liberty. The Lynx have won both of them with some big second-half performances, but in that first matchup about a week ago or so, the Lynx, or 2 weeks ago almost, the Lynx almost gave up a big lead there late in the fourth quarter that the Liberty were storming back, but they were able to hold on, and this time around they were convincing in that second half to really go up by 15 and hold on to that. I mean, they held Sabrina Ionescu to just 10 points in this contest. That's what they need to do, and they're probably going to be looking at the film, figuring out how exactly they did that and how they can replicate that come Saturday.
Minnesota has won 3 straight against the Liberty and 4 of the last 5 contests between these two teams. So it's been a fun series, to say the least, to watch between these two squads. But Minnesota coming away with the victory here at Barclays Center in Brooklyn, 83-71. Kayla McBride, the leading scorer, with 18 points, as Minnesota has 11 steals, forces 20 turnovers to score 22 points off of them. For Alex Leibold, I'm Sloan Martin. Appreciate you tuning in here on this Sunday. Minnesota improves this season to 27-5 on the year. And we'll catch you next time on the Minnesota Lynx Radio Network.
Find your iHeartRadio everywhere. There are hundreds of ways to experience iHeartRadio at home and on the go, beyond the iPhone and Android app, and at iHeartRadio.com. Here's another way to connect to iHeartRadio. Amazon Fire TV supports iHeartRadio with a beautiful big screen display while you enjoy your favorite music, radio stations, and podcasts. Make sure you link your iHeartRadio account and use voice controls for easy navigation between content on iHeartRadio. iHeartRadio on the big screen is easy to control from the remote or with voice controls, and it provides large cover art on the screen and can sync with your iHeartRadio account for seamless listening between your devices. Your iHeartRadio music, radio stations, and podcasts now on your big screen TV with Amazon Fire TV and the Fire Cube. Check it out for free now. iHeartRadio. Anywhere you want to listen, iHeartRadio is there.
You've been listening to Lynx Basketball, brought to you by U.S. Bank, an official partner of the Minnesota Lynx, equal housing lender, member FDIC, and by Mayo Clinic. You know where to go. This has been a presentation of the Lynx Radio Network.
Baltimore Ravens, he was released after winning the Super Bowl, much to his shock, but he was released because they said, we don't need you. We got Ray Lewis and company are the best defense, historic defense. Of course, they didn't win another Super Bowl for many years after that. So do you buy into that when you talk about, what level of importance overall positions are, that 80% of winning a championship is with the quarterback?
No, that's way too high. That's way too high because, and the reason why is it's too high because of the way everything else is dominated down and the way he broke it down, not dominated, the way he broke it down. So if you're saying 10%, right, is the O-line.
Yeah, he said 10%, right, meaning there's only 10% left.
Exactly. So special teams, D-line, and turnovers. You're telling me that's what, 3.5? No.
That's where he was going.
No, well, that's wrong.
Okay, so give me a percentage on the quarterback, Jeff.
60. Or maybe just 50. It's half the battle. Half the battle is football. Let me listen.
Well, you have to say it's more than half, wouldn't you?
No. Do you understand how, not you, speaking to the people, we're speaking to this guy. Do you understand how much goes into football? You're telling me a quarterback takes 80%, the O-line's 10%, and the rest of everything else.
It's 10%.
It's 10%. You're out of your mind. Quarterback is half the battle because if you don't have one, you got zero shot at being the contender. Yeah, you might make it interesting towards the end of the year. Your name will be on the screen, on the graphic, under in the hunt. right? If you don't have a quarterback.
Right.
You're coming down the stretch, and if you win your last 2 and then 12 other things happen, you can get into the playoffs. No. If you have a quarterback, that's normally not the case unless he's missed some time. But the quarterbacks that dominate this league are the ones that have the best ability, which is availability, which means they take majority or all the snap. To me, that's half the battle, okay? Where are you leaving the defense at?
All right.
Defense wins championships. Stop playing with me.
Thank you. Because when you think about it, let's look at Super Bowl winners, all right? So when you look at winning Super Bowl teams, when you think of these teams, are you thinking offense or are you thinking defense? I mean, I can give you many examples of defense. I mean, just a year ago, the Chiefs get to the Super Bowl more on defense than they did offense.
Way more on defense.
The 2 Giants victories over New England.
Defense.
Was defense.
The Ravens.
When you talk
defense.
about the Seahawks winning defense,
right.
When the Broncos beat the Panthers,
defense.
Von Miller, raising havoc here. So, and obviously both of the Ravens wins,
of course,
are defense.
The last Bears Super Bowl, one of the most famous Super Bowls ever. Why?
Yeah,
because of the defense.
It's defense. So, again, is it a bonus to have a Tom Brady or a Patrick Mahomes at quarterback? Obviously it is, because they can make plays when your team needs them most. But again, you said it, defenses win
50%
championship.
Man,
so,
please.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty outrageous, but I had to bring it up because it stood out to me. I don't know what you think out there. We're going to have much more on that. And John Palmarosi coming up. This is Fox Sports Sunday.
We are Fox Sports. Hey, it's Jonas Knox. There's a lot of uncertainty in the world, but one thing's for sure, you need a PC you can rely on. Whether it's for school, gaming, or whatever your next chapter holds, Lenovo.com has the tech to help you succeed. Shop PCs right now at Lenovo.com during their back-to-school sale, where students can save more when they sign up for a Lenovo education account. Free shipping, easy returns, flexible financing. That's Lenovo.com.
Lenovo. Life doesn't wait, and neither should you. Aleve can help you deal with pain less throughout your day. Whether it's a long day on your feet, a demanding workout, or everyday aches and pains, you need relief that can keep up when pain persists. Aleve is here for you with longer-lasting body pain relief compared to leading OTC-branded pain relievers. With just one pill, Aleve lasts up to 12 hours. Don't let those aches hold you back from doing what's important to you. Use as directed.
iHeart is America's #1 podcast network. Open the free iHeart app and explore podcasts like this.
1971. It was a simpler time, a groovy time. Soul Train had just started chugging along. Everyone had a lava lamp for some reason. Weeble started to wobble, but as we all know, they don't fall down. It's really something. But it wasn't all Weebles and bell-bottoms. There was also the Vietnam War and a growing nationwide movement protesting it.
Look behind you. See the thousands marching today.
Across the country, people were speaking up, and the more they did, the more they learned about the hidden underbelly of the most powerful law enforcement agency in the land. I'm Ed Helms, host of Snafu, Season 2, Medberg. The story of a daring heist that exposed J. Edgar Hoover's epic FBI snafu. Hear the incredible true story that almost got buried.
I was told that it might not be published the next day or might not be published ever.
As told by the ordinary citizens who took extraordinary measures.
Getting caught was virtually inevitable.
To expose J. Edgar Hoover's secret FBI.
Many of the techniques were clearly illegal, but justified in the interest of national security.
If it meant some risks that were involved, well, that's what citizens sometimes have to do.
Listen on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and listen now.
The free iHeartRadio app is #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one. Discover a new podcast from our library of over 350,000 titles. Here's an iHeartRadio podcast preview.
On September 16th, 1961,
Betty and Barney Hill cut their vacation short and decided to drive home.
They were having difficulty finding their way around the city, and Barney decided he just wanted to drive home, knowing that they would arrive at their home on New Hampshire's seacoast at about 2 o'clock in the morning.
What they saw that night in the New Hampshire sky would change everything.
I began walking across the highway, looking up at the object with the binoculars, putting them down, shaking my head, saying, well, this just can't be true. I don't believe it.
A light in the sky.
At first she thought of a falling star, but she realized that falling stars don't fall upwards, and that's what this one was doing.
2 years later, the Hills would undergo hypnosis.
He's trying to start the car, and it won't start. And the men are coming towards us. And I think, well, I can get away from this. If I get the car door open, I can run in the woods and hide.
That became known the world over.
Dr. Simon gave me a post-hypnotic suggestion. He said if I wanted to, I could sketch the star map. But if I didn't want to, I didn't have to. So about 2 weeks later, I sketched it.
Their account has been scrutinized.
Under the influence of hypnosis, especially if you're highly hypnotizable, you are even more susceptible to contamination and distortion.
By scientists, skeptics, theorists, and believers.
She wound up building a total of more than 20 three-dimensional models and was able to find one and only one pattern that matched what Betty had drawn.
What happened on that night journey in 1961? Were the Hills confused about what they saw, or did they have an encounter with beings not of this world? From iHeartRadio and Aaron Mahnke's Grim and Mild, this is Strange Arrivals.
Listen and follow this podcast for free on the iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts all in one.
We are Fox Sports.
And here's what you need to know.
NFL preseason action continues, and the Dolphins have taken the lead with a Jalen Wright rushing touchdown against the Bears in Chicago. It's 14-10 with about 4 minutes to go in the third quarter. Tyson Bagent for Chicago is 13 of 19 for 103 yards, 1 touchdown pass, and 1 interception so far in the game. Still to come, the Saints will be taking on the Chargers at SoFi Stadium with kickoff at 1 Eastern. NFL Network is reporting that Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford will return to practice on Monday. In baseball, Jock Peterson has put the Rangers on the scoreboard first with a 2-run shot. They're up on the Phillies 2-0, top of the second inning. The Mets, who have lost 6 in a row, are blanking the Brewers 4-0, bottom of the third inning. Milwaukee has won 8 in a row. The White Sox up on the Guardians 3-0, bottom of the third inning. And the Astros are on top of the Yankees 2-0, top of the fifth. At the FedEx St. Jude Championship, Tommy Fleetwood is in the lead at 13 under par through 5 holes.
This is Let's Go Fox Sports Sunday.
No, they ain't ready, fam.
The top stories, the sounds of the game, the interviews, the breaking news. When it goes down, we'll cover it here. Your Fox Sports Sunday is right now. Let's go. Now, live from the Fox Sports Radio studios, here's Steve Hartman and BJ Husky.
Rolling along here on another busy Sports Sunday, Fox Sports Sunday. We're in the Fox Sports Radio studios. Shout out to our buddy Bernie Fratto, who heard me bring up his show last night, talking about his show.
Shot me a text.
Well, I know that Bernie listens, so I figured he would. And he did say, hey, I did correct the guy. We acknowledge that. I mean, he definitely told the guy, no, there's multiple things other than 80% quarterback.
Right. And I lowered it during the commercial break, even below 50, Bernie, just so you know. I went 40% quarterback, 40% defense, 10% special teams, and then 10% everything else. Let me know how you thought like that one. That 80% is just way too high.
Oh, this guy was adamant. 80% quarterback, 10% offensive line, everybody else 10%.
Wait, what is he playing, Madden?
I
This
don't
is
know.
not
Again,
Madden, bro. This is not Super Tecmo Bowl.
Go down the list of teams that actually won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you need a defense,
How many of those?
You need a defense.
I mean, you can go back to the first 3 Super Bowls that the Patriots won with Tom Brady. It was their defense that was more the dominant force on those teams than Brady. The second one was very much more as
Brady
far as the
Gronk.
Patriots,
Yeah,
Gronk, and
once they
everything
got
else.
Gronk, yeah.
But in the beginning, I mean, he was game managers, like they used to say.
It wasn't
about
a
him.
game. I hate that term.
Well, I know
I
it
just
is. Well,
but I hate that term,
I don't think it's a
man.
negative term.
It is, because we use it. We don't use it positively.
Well, if you manage it properly, if you're doing the right things out there.
You're supposed to manage everything in life.
This was the argument about Bart Starr with Vince Lombardi. They had a run-dominant. He never threw more than 16 touchdown passes in a season. He was a first ballot Hall of Famer, but here's what it is. He won his last 9 playoff games, and he was a 2-time Super Bowl MVP. So it goes back to J.J. McCarthy we talked about in Michigan. He wasn't putting up the glossy numbers some of these guys put up, but when they needed him to come up big, make the throws when they need him, he delivered. And so that to me is the bottom line. As far again, Jalen Hurts, we were talking about this yesterday, right? We were talking about this was interesting how this sort of evolved. So we were all in agreement. There are 4 quarterbacks in the NFL that are just another level. Yeah. Mahomes, Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. So we're all good, right? 4 guys. So I asked the question, who is the number 5 quarterback? And so it was Chris that said he goes Jalen Hurts.
No, Chris. Yeah, that's right. He had Hurts.
And he had Hurts, and you jumped up and said, yeah, that's the guy, Hurts. And then I said, that's the guy. Yeah. And then by the end of the conversation, you're like, well, wait a second. Why isn't Jalen Hurts ahead of Josh Allen? I'm like, well, if you're going to put him ahead of Josh Allen, then you should put him ahead of Lamar Jackson, because he's been to 2 Super Bowls. He's won a Super Bowl. He's been a Super Bowl MVP. He could have been a 2-time Super Bowl MVP if he didn't just drop the ball randomly in that game and losing to Kansas City.
Right before the half, man.
So if it's based on getting to Super Bowls, winning championships, then he's ahead of Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, because they haven't even been to a Super Bowl, either one of those guys. So all of a sudden we determined that no, it's not 4, it's 5. There are 5 quarterbacks,
It's 5 quarterbacks.
and Jalen Hurts is in that mix.
And it's just a question. I know my guy Bernie is still listening, but this is valid, guys. It's just a question. Why can't I put Jalen Hurts over Josh Allen? Josh Allen is a guy that they keep telling us he's going to get Buffalo there. They're going to beat Mahomes in the postseason. They're going to win the Super Bowl.
Well, why can't you say that about Lamar Jackson?
I'm going to get to that in a second. But he's done none of that.